His name was Chrome. He dreamed of becoming a hero, like in the legends, and protecting people from monsters, but fate decided otherwise. He was left for dead, and the skill that everyone thought was useless worked. He came back to life, but no longer a man, but a monster. A skeleton, a despicable undead. Now he's evolving, fighting, and saving those who wanted him dead. But if they find out what he has become, they will destroy him without hesitation. That day, monsters brutally dealt with his parents before his eyes. The boy, clenching his fists, vowed to become an adventurer and take revenge. The gods gave people skill, special strength for fighting monsters. Among the adventurers, the S rank stood out, whose power, thanks to their skills, was equal to an entire army. As a child, he also dreamed of heroic deeds like in fairy tales. With his head bowed, he desperately prayed to God for strength. He asked for the opportunity to at least slightly rid the world of the surrounding evil. However, his pure thoughts and hopes were cruelly betrayed. Suddenly, a glowing sign appeared in front of him. Could this really be his skill? In delight, he ran to the priest, shouting that he had finally received his gift. The priest, adjusting his glasses, addressed the boy doubtfully. "Chrome Kun, with a skill like yours, becoming an adventurer won't be easy," he concluded, looking at the depressed Chrome. Years later, Chrome, lighting the way, trailed behind two seasoned adventurers in a dark dungeon. Suddenly, a red-haired companion named Arthur called out to him rudely, "Walk normally, Chrome." Chrome lowered his head guiltily, muttering, "Sorry, Arthur." Arthur didn't stop shouting that they had already done a favor by taking such a useless person with them. His rebirth skill allowed him to come back to life only once after death. For adventurers whose main weapon was skills, such an ability was almost useless. So he lived like a third-rate adventurer, carrying out only occasional assignments. Even though he was a laughingstock, Chrome was still proud to contribute to the country's defense. Arthur smirked, mentioning that even the sister of one guy with magic refused to go with him. His partner, smiling broadly, agreed that this was entirely to be expected. Chrome just chuckled nervously in response, bending under the weight of his backpack. Suddenly, Arthur's face became serious. He felt danger approaching. An evil, shadow-like monster with burning eyes jumped out of the darkness with a roar. Arthur immediately activated the skill Flame Cloak, and his sword was enveloped in fire. The second adventurer roared, "Hercules' strength," as he swung his massive hammer. Together, they easily dealt with the monster. Their attacks were fast and accurate. "Too simple," Arthur said, looking at the trophies. "Only these little demons are annoying." He then turned to Chrome, ordering, "Hey, collect the magic stones." Chrome, gritting his teeth, picks up the magic stone with his bloody fingers. His companion urges Arthur, reminding him that they have gone off the map and it is time to go back. Arthur barks in rage that they shouldn't dare tell him what to do. Suddenly, a viscous liquid drips from the roof of the cave onto the ground. Chrome's eyes widen in horror as he notices movement in the darkness. Dozens of angry red eyes light up in the impenetrable darkness around. "Bugbears?" the adventurers scream, realizing that the small demons have lured them into a trap. Arthur desperately slashes with his fiery sword, but there is no end to the monsters. His partner is in a panic. The bugbears are too strong, too numerous, and too voracious. Cold sweat runs down his face, foreshadowing a terrible end. Chrome is grabbed by slimy tentacles and desperately tries to escape. Arthur's sword only scratches the monster's thick skin without causing any harm. Chrome realizes in horror that he is completely powerless against such creatures. Suddenly, he turns around, hearing a familiar voice above the roar of the monsters. Arthur stands on the edge of the ledge, his face distorted into a malicious grin. "Arthur!" Chrome cries, holding out his hand in a last desperate plea. "Better you alone than all of us," comes Arthur's cruel reply. Arthur's partner adds that Chrome does have the skill Revival. The two adventurers run away, leaving Chrome to be torn apart. He understands that skill will not save him from this trap. A huge mouth with rows of sharp teeth and burning eyes hangs over the doomed Chrome. The monster mercilessly bites into Chrome's flesh. Blood spurts. Hellish pain pierces him. He does not want to die in this terrible place. Suddenly, a sign flashes in front of him. The skill Rebirth is activated. The darkness dissipates. Chrome opens his eyes. Is he really alive? Rebirth worked. But what was he doing so deep in the dungeon? He looks at his hand and freezes in bewilderment. These are bones. In the reflection on the smooth surface, he sees a skeleton. Is it him? Chrome looks at his new body in horror. Why did he become like this? He tries to scream, but only a strange wheezing sound comes out of his throat. He can't speak. Is this a dream? He reaches out with a bony hand to the system board to check his status. The system board showed his new status, Ghost. Level 1, rank E, skills not acquired. Chrome realized that he was no longer level 9, and the system called him a ghost. The description read, a ghost is a resurrected monster with evil mana, weak and without intelligence, just a wandering corpse. Don't mock me! Chrome was indignant in his mind. I have a head that can think! I remembered the priest's words about how such a rare skill was not suitable for an adventurer. Chrome wondered if it was because of the damage to his body or the mana from the dungeon that he became like this. It doesn't matter now, he thought, lying on the ground. A body like this is practically a death sentence. Although I'm already dead, Chrome admitted with bitter irony, now I'm just bones. His bony hand was a reminder of a hard life and a useless skill gained for wanting to protect the country. He remembered how he risked his life every day and was only constantly bullied. A memory emerges. A sister with a staff advises to give up everything since there is no talent. Chrome thinks bitterly, it looks like my sister was right. Chrome's skeleton looks depressed, as if tears are flowing from its empty eye sockets. He always knew that only those with powerful skills could become high-ranking adventurers. No. Suddenly it dawns on Chrome. He sits up abruptly. This is wrong. After all, monsters evolve, gaining levels and skills. Maybe he will become human again. Hope lights up in his eyes. He can become the S-rank adventurer he had long forgotten about. But then doubts arise. Ghosts are terribly weak. Will he be able to accomplish this? Wait, I'm not an ordinary monster I can think, he recalls describing the ghost. His bony hand clenches into a fist. This is his only hope, and it's worth a try. Chrome realized that being a skeleton, it was easy for him to slip past the monsters unnoticed. He decided to gather information, study the area, find weak enemies and advantages. Chrome soon came across a level 4 goblin, an ideal first target. The goblin noticed the movement and bared his teeth viciously, preparing to attack. Chrome tapped his knuckles on the ground, distracting the monster. When the goblin was distracted by the sound, Chrome quickly attacked, piercing him with his sword. The bait worked! Chrome stood triumphantly over the defeated enemy. System message, 3 experience points received. Level increased from 1 to 3. He defeated a monster of a higher level than himself, which means he has a chance. With this body and my human mind, I can handle it, Chrome decided. Chrome realized that once he reached the 5th level of the ghost, he would be able to evolve. I've already died once, he decides. I'm going to swing like my life depends on it. Suddenly, a new monster appears in front of him, a goblin slug making a creepy sound. System shows, Goblin Slime Level 1, rank E, another easy target. Chrome doesn't hesitate as he plunges his sword into the vile goblin slime. A system message informs you that only 1 experience point has been received. They're stingy with experience, Chrome thinks disappointedly, looking at the sign. He realizes that his plan to hunt weak monsters has reached its limit. Looks like we'll have to find stronger enemies, Chrome muses. Otherwise, evolution will take decades. The skeleton of Chrome leans tiredly against the wall, thinking about his next steps. Chrome muses. His new body doesn't need food or rest, but he fears that without sleep and rest, he will easily forget what it is like to be human. Although, he admits, not needing food is definitely convenient in his situation. In the sunless dungeon, Chrome completely lost all sense of time. He wonders a week has passed, 3 days, or maybe not even half a day has passed. Suddenly, Chrome remembers his younger sister Salmea. Is she worried? Her words come to mind. Why don't you just quit if you don't have talent? No, he thinks bitterly. Even if she noticed, she probably doesn't care at all. Chrome clutches his head in despair. This gloomy dungeon is bringing on negativity. Looking at the remains of the monster, he firmly decides, I can't stay here forever. Chrome decides that in order to become stronger, he will have to choose more serious fights. Suddenly, a bared mouth with sharp fangs appears from the darkness. A level 7, D-rank red-eyed wolf appears, a dangerous opponent. The monster looms over Chrome, who lies motionless on the ground. The wolf sniffs the skeleton's skull to check if it is alive. The predator, not sensing a threat, turns away and walks away. Chrome, lying down, understands. Defeating Red Eyes promises an immediate level increase. However, the difference is colossal. The 7th level against his 3rd, doubts overcome. No, I'm a monster with a human mind. Chrome braces himself. He needs to use his advantage. He recalls, the skeletal body allows him to pretend to be dead, safely studying his enemies. Chrome notes on the wall. I see. So this is Red Eye's territory. Chrome's skull gleams decisively. In that case, the red-eyed wolf returns, his paws stepping on the ground of the dungeon. The wolf approaches the dead Chrome and the abandoned backpack. The predator sniffs the backpack, and Chrome quietly prepares his sword to strike. Chrome suddenly jumps up, raising his sword over the unsuspecting wolf. The blade plunges deep into the monster's back, blood spurts. The wounded red-eyed wolf lets out a furious, pain-filled howl. Chrome grins maliciously. I knew you'd come to check the body and the luggage. In the heat of battle, Chrome and the wounded wolf fall into the abyss together. The wolf falls into the abyss with a howl, his red eyes glowing in the darkness. Chrome, clinging to the monster's back, continues to fall with it, the sword still in the wound. My body is just bones, but this lightness is its main advantage, thinks Chrome. Against a strong enemy, I will use any trick, he decides, gripping the hilt tighter. In a rage, the wolf twists and sinks his teeth into Chrome's hand holding the sword. Chrome's bone arm breaks with a crack and he drops his sword into the abyss. My hand! The skeleton realizes with horror, looking at the damaged limb. I will not be defeated here. Chrome does not give up, falling towards the fanged mouth. The wolf's dying howl is heard, blood splattering in all directions. Chrome stands over the defeated wolf at the bottom of the abyss. I won, but barely. The system reports 11 experience points received, level increased from 3rd to 5th. Chrome rejoices. New message. Ghost has reached the level limit. Evolution condition met. Chrome is amazed. To level up so quickly, the monster's body is really strong. He instinctively understands how to evolve while standing by a glowing pool. Chrome's bones begin to crack, filling with green transformation energy. Evolution! Chrome exclaims, enveloped in a whirlwind of magical power. The skull glows from within. He feels that his body will recover and become stronger. An explosion of energy envelops Chrome's silhouette as he begs, "Make me more human." A new, more humanoid figure emerges from the light. The system announces, "Evolved into ghoul." The Chrome ghoul looks at himself. A little unsightly, but definitely more human-like than before. Chrome notices, his broken arm has completely healed, another plus of evolution. The system shows his new characteristics, Ghoul, level 5, and the skill, Regeneration. Chrome is delighted. His stats have increased, and he even got a new skill. Regeneration, he muses. Perhaps this is the very powerful skill I was hoping for. Chrome scratches the back of his head, sheepishly admitting, although it's not like I wanted to become a monster. He sees that the limit of a ghoul's level is 20, after which a new evolution is possible. This is even fun, Chrome grins. Okay, let's get started. After all, as the inscription says, he has no other choice anyway. Chrome is determined to level up and evolve to regain his human form and become the strongest. A new enemy appears before him, a level 5 D-rank monster rat. The Chrome ghoul tries to hold the sword with his new clawed hands. He understands that the claws interfere with fencing, and the weapon has become inconvenient. Suddenly, the rat monster attacks, stabbing Chrome in the chest. Chrome winces in pain, but his gaze is full of determination. He throws away the sword. It's time to change the battle tactics. Chrome is betting on his new sharp claws. A powerful claw strike tears through the rat monster's flesh. Chrome realizes that his claws are far more effective than any blade. The system reports an upgrade to level 6. The next evolution is far away. Chrome remembers regeneration, feeling its power in his body. The wound on Chrome's chest heals thanks to his new ability. The ghoul body is comfortable, thinks Chrome, but there is a downside. He clutches his stomach, overcome by a monstrous hunger. Chrome sits over the remains of a rat, wondering how to satisfy his hunger. With disgust and determination, he sinks his teeth into the monster's flesh. I'm becoming more and more like a monster, he realizes bitterly. However, this life seems more human to him than being a ghost. Without a doubt, I am now closer to a human being, Chrome convinces himself. He decides to cast aside his doubts and act according to the situation. A few days later, Chrome, armed with a bone club, meets Orc. Chrome crushes the Orc's skull with a powerful blow from his bone club. The system announces 33 experience points received, level increased to 14. Chrome smirks as he looks at the system window. Not a bad leveling pace, I leveled up again. He looks at his hands thoughtfully. Thanks to regeneration, I can afford to take risks. Chrome notes another plus. Besides, being undead, I don't feel tired at all. Status shows. Ghoul, level 14 out of 20. Only 6 levels until the next evolution. Chrome remembers how quickly he leveled up, already being stronger than his former self at level 9. Sitting in the darkness, he thinks hopefully, if only the next evolution will make me more human. Suddenly, Chrome remembers his little sister. I wonder how Kalmea is now. A memory emerges. He and Kalmea were once close, but in recent years she hardly spoke to him. Chrome recalls that due to his weak skill, he earned almost no money, barely providing for Kalmea. Unlike him, Kalmea had a magical gift that was perfect for an adventurer. One day, my sister announced that she had become a C-rank adventurer. Kalmea stood in the doorway with her staff, and Chrome felt more and more worthless. He forced out a chuckle, congratulating her while he was stuck at D rank. Kalmea coldly declared that it was foolish for him, a weakling, to persist in his career as an adventurer. Her words, "Why don't you just quit if you don't have talent?" hurt Chrome deeply. A useless older brother and a talented younger sister, she began to look down on him. They talked less and less, and Chrome began to avoid the house out of awkwardness. Chrome wonders if Kalmea is worried about him now, or if she has always been indifferent. Chrome thinks gloomily, if he returns home like this, he will definitely be destroyed. An attempt to speak fails. Only animal sounds come out of his throat. Chrome lets out a long groan, realizing his muteness and monstrous appearance. Suddenly, a sound catches his attention and he becomes alert. A shadow that looks like a goblin flickers in the distance, but something doesn't add up. 3 figures emerge from the depths of the cave, a group of adventurers. Chrome covers his mouth with a clawed paw in panic. Humans? And that's not all. Among them, he recognizes his sister Kalmea with a staff. The dungeon is close to the city, but to collide like this. Chrome hides behind a rock. He decides to hide immediately. If he is found, it will be the end for him. Kalmea angrily asks her companion, "How did we run out of ointment?" Another adventurer makes excuses. The opaque bags prevented her from checking the supplies. Kalmea scolds them. "These are the basics. What will you do if the monster bites?" The girl tries to calm her down, saying that potions and washing the wounds are usually enough. Sister Crom puts the question bluntly. Can you trust your back to the unprepared? The guy objects, but we agreed to help on such a short notice. Kalmea snaps back, grabbing him. It's your own fault for agreeing when our lives are at stake. Kalmea's companion is speechless from her pressure, gritting his teeth in anger. Chrome, hiding, watches his sister quarrel with her companions. Everything is as usual, even in the dungeon. He reflects. She could have been softer, although in essence she's right. Chrome awkwardly touches the rock, attracting the attention of the adventurers. Damn. Kalmea and her companion immediately turn around at the sound. A monster. The archer girl grips the handle of her weapon tensely, preparing for battle. She releases a magic arrow, shouting, "Ice arrow!" Chrome, hiding in the shadows, recognizes the spell. This is Kalmea's skill. Ice magic. Ice projectiles rush into the darkness where Chrome is hiding. One of the ice shards hits the ghoul, causing him to groan in pain. The adventurers see only a shadow of a fleeing monster flashing in the darkness. The swordsman boy breathes a sigh of relief. It's just a ghoul. Kalmea grimly remarks, they are not that strong, but they are quite tenacious. Chrome realizes in horror, oh no, this is really bad. The adventurers noticed him, but he was just a D-rank, level 14 ghoul. And worst of all, among them is his sister Kalmea, looking determined. Kalmea's companion, level 15 Lena, notes, ghouls have a healing skill, level 14. Swordsman Derek confidently declares, then let's just finish him off with one blow. Kalmea, already level 18, prepares an ice attack, warning against haste. Chrome is in despair. Well, that's it. I don't have a chance against her at level 18. He bitterly acknowledges how strong his little sister has become. As the adventurers approach, Chrome desperately searches for an opportunity to escape. Derek lunges forward, his daggers flashing with fire. I'll smash him with my skill. Derek yells, incinerate, and unleashes a fiery attack on Chrome. Chrome learns a skill that engulfs weapons in flames. It's dangerous. Lena, Kalmea's companion, is also preparing to attack, her gaze determined. She activates light body, instantly closing the distance. Chrome is amazed by her speed, barely having time to react. Lena throws a punch and Chrome blocks it with difficulty, groaning in pain. He understands that he cannot withstand even one blow from Derek's flaming blade. Chrome realizes that if he doesn't dodge Lena, Derek will finish him off, and dodging is all he can do. Given the difference in strength and levels, Chrome realizes that simply running away won't work. Chrome thinks in despair. I didn't want to attack people, but... Derek, with a flaming dagger, shouts maliciously, "Here's another one!" Chrome desperately thinks, I'm not an ordinary monster, turn on your brain. He kicks the rock sharply towards the attacking Derek. Derek misses the attack, blocking the rock with his sword, and clicks his tongue in frustration. The swordsman mutters irritably, "The damn ghoul kicked a stone at me." Chrome suddenly appears behind Derek, catching him off guard. Without wasting any time, Chrome punches Derek in the back of the head, causing him to cry out in pain. Chrome looks at his claws, regretting, I still couldn't use my claws. He decides to flee immediately while Derek is on the ground and Kalmia and Lena are stunned. As he runs away, Chrome hopes, It is forbidden to pursue monsters deep into the dungeon. They will not follow me. Derek, thrown to the ground, mutters angrily, Damn bastard! Lena rushes after Chrome, shouting, I won't let him get away. Chrome runs deeper into the dungeon, thinking, if she catches up, I'm finished. He understands that if Lena catches up, he will have to accept the fight. Lena is surprised by his unexpected jerk. He suddenly ran away again? But Chrome, deciding to fight, turns around and blocks her sword, relying on regeneration. Chrome staggers back into the wall from the blow as Lena's sword gets stuck in the stone. Lena looks in panic at her blade, firmly stuck in the rock. My weapon! Chrome grins at his luck. He caught her off guard because the undead are not supposed to be cunning. Suddenly, Kalmea's icy voice is heard, preparing an attack. Ice arrow! Chrome realizes in horror that Kalmea's attack is inevitable. Damn! A magic circle flares up above Kalmea, and ice shards rush towards the target. A pained cry is heard from Chrome as green blood sprays out in all directions. Chrome realizes that his sister was aiming directly at his legs to immobilize him. The fallen ghoul lies on the ground, his legs impaled by ice, and Kalmea looks down from above. Lena smiles as she notes Kalmea's skill, as expected of the Ice Princess. Derek scratches his head in irritation, and I wanted to finish him off myself and raise the level. Kalmea looks sternly at Derek. You were too careless. She continues, if you had just held him back, I could have easily finished him off with magic. Chrome thinks with despair, at this rate, they'll definitely kill me. Chrome, defeated, lets out a quiet groan as he lies on the cold floor of the cave. He realizes with horror, I can't get up. Forget about my shins. His thighs are torn to shreds and he is amazed by his sister's incredible firepower. A close-up shows a huge ice shard piercing his flesh. Chrome remembers, nothing. I have a ghoul skill, regeneration. He hopes that even with such wounds, he will be able to run in a minute. Kalmea stands over him, her icy staff glowing and her gaze ominous. Chrome realizes in despair, but I don't have a whole minute. Kalmea looks coldly at her brother, preparing a new ice magic. She casts Ice Spear, and a huge magic circle appears above her. Chrome realizes in horror, my own little sister will kill me. Kalmea, without hesitation, casts Ice Spear, and a huge magic circle flares up above her. A greenish glow envelops Chrome as he looks at his sister in despair. He understands that with his wounded legs, he won't be able to dodge, and he won't be able to scare her. Chrome frantically thinks about how to buy time for regeneration while his wounds glow. Suddenly, an idea strikes him, and he remembers his attempts to speak. Chrome desperately tries to pronounce his sister's name, squeezing out, K-L-me. Kalmea and Lena freeze in surprise when they hear inarticulate sounds coming from the ghoul. A huge ice spear forms from the magic circle, ready to fall on Chrome. The ice spear freezes right in front of Chrome, who looks at it with a frozen face. Derek yells at Kalmea in bewilderment, asking how she could have missed at point-blank range. Chrome thinks with relief that he was a hair's breadth from death. The spear barely missed him. He smirks. His plan to throw his sister off guard by saying her name worked, albeit with difficulty. Kalmea looks at the ghoul in confusion, not understanding why he spoke. Chrome rises to one knee, his leg glowing. Regeneration complete. Kalmea cries out as he recovers and prepares to cast ice magic again. Chrome roars furiously and lunges forward, clawed hand extended. Kalmea screams in horror as Chrome catches up with her. Thrown to the ground, Kalmea winces in pain, saying, ow! Chrome, without wasting a second, runs away again, leaving Kalmea behind. Kalmea realizes in shock. A trick. I fell for it. I was deceived by a monster. Derek is furious and yells at Kalmea for letting easy prey slip away. Kalmea looks into the distance silently, her eyes narrowing in thought. The explanation reads, undead are monsters created by the mana of the dungeon from human corpses. Kalmea thinks doubtfully, I just heard it, right? Chrome, exhausted, leans against the wall thinking, I almost died just now. He can't believe that he was cornered by high-level adventurers. Chrome gives a thumbs up with a smile. It's so good to have such a simple skill. Thank you, regeneration. He muses, it seems like when hunting monsters, you also have to be wary of adventurers. I never thought I'd get beaten up by my little sister. Chrome adds thoughtfully, but I haven't seen her in the dungeon for so long. Chrome remembers how he taught his sister the basics, but she quickly overtook him. Hiding! The ghoul mutters that he can't let her find him again. He notices Kalmea's group heading deeper into the dark tunnel. Chrome decides that the safest thing to do is run in the opposite direction. As he runs away, he wonders, is his sister really going to go even deeper into the dungeon? The narrator explains, ordinary people cannot survive long in dungeons. The dense mana here is poisonous to mortals, corroding them over time. Therefore, adventurers need carefully thought-out plans with a large margin for error. Chrome is worried, for their level going so far is pure madness. He is aware of the mortal danger if he is caught again, but a new thought flashes in his eyes. Chrome decides to quietly follow his sister's group at a safe distance. Soon they come across the lifeless body of an adventurer. Derek states with disgust, "Oh, the corpse of an adventurer." Kalmea silently lowers herself to the body, her gaze focused. Derek's guess is that the poor guy has already been robbed. Lena finds this shameful. The adamant Kalmea orders them to go further, going deeper into the cave. Horror grips Derek. Will they really continue on their way? Lena supports him, fearing that it might be too risky for Kalmea. Kalmea's cold answer, she had been this deep many times before. She's confident that their skills and teamwork will allow them to get through if Derek doesn't get into trouble. Derek reproachfully asks Kalmea if she has gone too far, given her previous mistake. Chrome watches his sister in horror. Are they really going to go even deeper? The narrator explains, strong monsters live deeper, they are attracted by dense mana. Chrome muses that in the dungeon one must always be prepared for the unexpected, marveling at Kalmea's recklessness. Kalmea asks herself with a determined look why she is in such a hurry. Suddenly, a powerful blow shakes the earth, foreshadowing the appearance of something dangerous. Lena screams, "Damn!" as she is thrown back by an unknown force. A huge level 22 ogre appears in front of the adventurers, emitting a red aura. Chrome panicked. He knew that something unexpected would appear, because monsters above level 20 should be much deeper. Kalmea looks at the ogre tensely, a bead of sweat running down her face. A massive level 22, C-rank ogre looms over them, its eyes glowing red. Level 18. Kalmea and her companions look at the monster in horror, realizing the difference in strength. From behind cover, Chrome ponders what Kalmea will do, since fleeing with such a difference in levels will lead to losses. The ghoul thinks about jumping out and distracting the ogre, but immediately dismisses this thought. He understands that they will think he is just another monster. They will decide that they are surrounded, and they will panic. Chrome decides to just watch for now, his clawed hand hovering over the battle scene. Derek panics and screams that he told him to retreat, not knowing what to do. Kalmea firmly states that her magic is capable of hurting even an ogre, and her staff begins to glow. Concentrating her gaze, Kalmea is confident that the ogre can be defeated if they work together. Derek is desperate and doubts whether they can really defeat such a terrifying monster. Derek understands that running away from such a monster will lead to certain death. He needs to try to fight. Gathering his courage, Derek unleashes a searing strike on the ogre with his flaming sword. Suddenly, Derek's face contorts into shock as his attack is met with an unexpected reaction. The ogre easily throws Derek back with a powerful blow, crushing the stones under his feet. Derek realizes in horror that the ogre's attack range is too great for him. Lena activates the skill Light Body. Her figure flashes with light, preparing to dash. The ogre instantly switches his attention, his angry red eyes aiming at Lena. Lena freezes in shock and fear as the ogre's massive shadow looms over her. A powerful blow from the ogre falls on Lena, throwing her back with force. Derek screams Lena's name in despair as he sees her being attacked by the monster. Lena, flying away, is amazed by the monstrous strength of the ogre. She was only grazed. Kalmia immediately attacks, firing an ice arrow from her glowing staff. The ice projectiles pierce the monster's arm, but only slightly scratch it. The ogre looks at the magic arrow stuck in his hand with a grin. The monster easily crushes the ice arrow in its huge paw. Kalmia realizes in horror that her ice arrow is too weak against this monster. From his hiding place, Chrome gloomily states, "Things are taking a bad turn." The ghoul is perplexed as to why such a weak and uncoordinated group has gone so deep. Kalmia turns around decisively, her cloak fluttering, and Chrome mentally says her name. She decides to use the more powerful ice spear, hoping to at least wound the ogre. Kalmia realizes that in order to cast a powerful spell, she needs her comrades to create an opening. Derek despairs at their lack of levels, speed, strength, and magic. There is horror in his eyes. At this rate, he will definitely die. Kalmia orders to attack and distract the ogre, otherwise they will not win. Clenching her fists, she tells herself that she can't die here. There's still a chance. Derek is angry. It's easy for her to command from the safety of the rear, sending them to certain death. He understands that it is useless to run. The ogre will catch up with him. He will have to listen to Kalmia. Lena flinches as she hears Derek whispering her name. Derek quickly whispers something into Lena's ear, who looks puzzled. Chrome notices their secret conversation from behind cover, wondering what they are up to. The ogre, with a furious roar, brings down a crushing blow on the Seekers. Lena barely dodges a huge boulder thrown at her by an ogre. Kalmia thinks with annoyance that his partners are too scared to lure the ogre closer. A glowing magic circle appears in front of Kalmia as she prepares a powerful spell, risking everything. Derek grins maliciously, whispering, "Now!" Lena screams Derek's name and he looks forward with determination. Derek grabs Lena and activates Light Body, rushing away from the battle. Kalmia looks after them in shock, not believing her eyes. "Gee, guys." As Derek carries her away, Lena says with regret, "Don't think ill of us, Kalmia." Chrome clenches his fists in anger from behind cover. These bastards abandoned Kalmia at a time like this. Kalmia, left alone, clenches her teeth, her gaze full of determination. The ogre lets out a furious roar, raising his massive club to strike. Kalmia releases Ice Spear. A giant projectile rushes towards the monster. The spear pierces the ogre, causing him to recoil in unexpected pain. A powerful spell pierces the monster's flesh. Kalmia watches the result. The ogre, enraged by the injury, lets out another deafening roar, his eyes blazing. Kalmia's heart sinks as she sees that her attack has hit its target. The ogre's huge hand falls on the sorceress with incredible speed. Kalmia is thrown back by a powerful blow, and she flies limply through the air. The ogre lets out a long howl, either from pain or rage after his attack. Chrome screams Kalmia's name in horror as he sees her fall. A fleeing Derek angrily blames Kalmia for their reckless expedition. He continues to grumble that looking for his missing brother was a stupid idea. Chrome listens in shock to Derek's cynical words. The ogre lets out a long roar, his body shaking with pain. Kalmia lies unconscious on the ground, and Chrome mentally scolds her for her weakness. In her delirium, Kalmia whispers about her missing brother. The monster roars again, trying to cope with the wound from the spear. Chrome rushes towards the ogre, his blade flaring with energy. The ogre looks at the unexpected new enemy with surprise and pain. Chrome emerges from the shadows, ready to fight. He mentally apologizes to the unconscious Kalmia for hiding his identity. The ghoul defiantly shouts at the ogre that he is now his enemy. It becomes clear that Chrome is a level 14 D-rank ghoul, and his powers are limited. The level 22 C-rank ogre roars back, surpassing Chrome in power. The monster unleashes a blow on Chrome, who appears tiny in comparison. Chrome deftly dodges the giant's crushing attack. The ghoul notices that although the ogre is stronger, one of his arms is damaged. Chrome understands that Kalmia's life depends on this fight. Shouting, "We can't lose!" Chrome charges forward, striking the ogre. The ogre writhes in pain, clutching his wounded side after being attacked by Chrome. Chrome clutches the glowing ice dagger in his hand, preparing for his next attack. The dagger plunges into the ogre's head, shattering into pieces from the force of the blow. The ghoul jumps back, dodging the monster's response. Chrome realizes that attacking the ogre's blind spot due to his injured arm wasn't enough. He realizes that defeating such an opponent will not be easy. Despite the injury, the ogre's speed, strength, and reach remain monstrous. Chrome decides that in order to make the final blow, he needs to create a more obvious breach in the defense. The ghoul takes a sharp step, trying to find the monster's vulnerable spot. Ogre knocks Chrome down, preventing him from taking the initiative. Chrome flies back from the ogre's powerful blow. The ghoul understands that evasion is possible, but his stamina is not infinite. The ogre breathes heavily, steam billowing from his mouth. Chrome remembers his human nature. He decides not to lose patience and concentrate. Chrome dodges another blow from the monster. The ogre slams the ground in rage. Chrome thinks about another weapon, his fangs. The ghoul jumps at the ogre, aiming for the head. The ogre opens its mouth in agony, and Chrome plunges his hand into it up to the shoulder. The ghoul screams with determination, offering his left hand to the monster. Chrome explains that against a strong enemy, only a fatal blow remains. He waited for the ogre to expose its neck, the weak spot besides the brain and heart. The vampire's fangs sink into the ogre's neck, blood spurts. The monster is defeated, Chrome gains experience and increases his level from 14 to 18. The ghoul can hardly believe that he somehow miraculously managed to win. Chrome activates regeneration, and his severed arm begins to regenerate. He notes to himself the benefit of the skill. The damage is not scary as long as he is alive. Chrome looks at Kalmea, mentally apologizing and thanking her. Kalmea, in a daze, reflects on Chrome's worries and her own weakness. Chrome, carrying Kalmea on his back, carefully moves through the dark cave. The ghoul is worried. Kalmea may return to the dungeon again if nothing is done. Chrome's gaze falls on the previously abandoned sword lying on the ground. He picks up the blade, recognizing it as his old sword that he had once discarded. Suddenly, two strangers appear in the cave, looking around anxiously. The new arrivals see a ghoul leaning over the girl and decide that she is in danger. The archer immediately draws his bowstring, aiming at Chrome to protect Kalmea. Kalmea begins to come to her senses, letting out a quiet groan. Waking up, she looks at the strangers in confusion, not understanding where she is. The stranger tells Kalmea that she was attacked by a ghoul while she was unconscious. Kalmea, confused, asks about the ghoul and the ogre, remembering that someone saved her and carried her. A warm memory from childhood comes to mind, of someone carrying her on their back. The girl brushes off the overwhelming nostalgia, considering it impossible. One of the rescuers hands Kalmea a sword, asking if it is her weapon. Kalmea looks at the familiar blade lying in front of her in confusion. In a sudden revelation, she recognizes the sword that belonged to her brother. The blade is engraved with the words, "I will definitely return, just wait." Kalmea, with tears in her eyes, hugs the sword to herself, whispering, "Brother!" Chrome's mental voice says goodbye to Kalmea, promising a new meeting. Chrome goes deep into the cave, dreaming of a new evolution in human form. A pack of bugbears awaits him ahead, making guttural sounds. The ghoul rushes at monsters, gaining experience for each one defeated. Crouching down on a rock, Chrome begins to eat one of the bugbears with disgust. He winces. The creatures taste disgusting and smell like wasabi. The bugbear's tentacles are rubbery, and its skin is hard as metal. The monster's insides feel like rot, making Chrome feel sick. The ghoul remembers his death at the hands of the bugbears and wonders if they ate people. He is filled with hatred for his new being, which forces him to feed on such things. The irony of fate is that he was once their victim, and now he devours them himself. Chrome ponders. Ordinary monsters do not risk attacking strong ones because people do not linger in the dungeon. He is surprised at how quickly he reached level 18, approaching level 20. The ghoul hopes that the evolution from a ghoul to a ghoul has brought him closer to human form. Chrome dreams that the next evolution will allow him to return to the city. He decides not to dwell on things he can't change right now. There are only 2 levels left until the next evolution, but Chrome is afraid of meeting stronger monsters. The ghoul decides to hunt weak creatures for now, avoiding the dangerous depths of the dungeon. Suddenly, a bright flash of energy rushes past Chrome. Chrome barely dodges, struck by the power of the unknown attack and wondering about the enemy's level. A level 21 gargoyle appears before him, ready for battle. A gargoyle with a sword dives at Chrome, who barely manages to dodge. The ghoul is in a panic. Monsters above level 20 should not live here. The stone creature spews a stream of scorching purple flame. The flame touches Chrome's hand, causing him hellish pain. The gargoyle, engulfed in energy, swoops down for the finishing blow. Chrome has difficulty blocking the attack but takes heavy damage. The monster continues to attack furiously, giving the ghoul no respite. With a powerful blow, the gargoyle slams Chrome into the cave wall. The ghoul is shocked. He barely dodged the sword, and the elbow strike was incredibly strong. Chrome is pinned against the wall, realizing the gargoyle is blind but attacks with flame and sound. Chrome realizes that he defeated the ogre only thanks to Kalmia's magic, which weakened the monster. The ghoul's level has increased, but he doesn't stand a chance against this gargoyle. The stone creature roars and charges again, its eyes blazing with fury. Chrome is terrified. The monster's speed is incredible, he barely has time to react. The gargoyle unleashes a barrage of swift blows glowing with energy on the ghoul. Chrome desperately hits back, putting all his strength into his fist. But there is not a scratch left on the gargoyle's stone skin. It is insanely strong. A powerful counterattack throws Chrome back. He feels his strength leaving him. The ghoul understands that the gargoyle's level and skills are too high for him. Retreating, Chrome finds himself on the edge of the abyss. There is nowhere further to run. The gargoyle roars and spews purple flames, driving Chrome to the very edge of the abyss. The ghoul is in despair, realizing that he is cornered by a ruthless monster. The stream of scorching energy rushes towards Chrome again, leaving no chance. The monster, engulfed in flames, dives down, straight into the bottomless abyss. Chrome clings to the rock, and the gargoyle realizes that the ghoul had anticipated her attack. The stone creature falls into the darkness with a scream. Chrome used his knowledge of the area. The gargoyle's eyes widen in rage and surprise as she falls. With a dull thud, the monster crashes into the bottom of the abyss, raising a cloud of dust. System message. Experience gained, level increased to 20th. Chrome thanks the fall damage. The ghoul looks at his fallen enemy, admitting that in a fair fight he would have lost. Chrome realizes level 20, which means the system announces, Ghoul has reached the level limit. The evolution condition has been met. Finally. Chrome is glad that an unexpectedly strong enemy helped him achieve his goal. The first thing he wants to do after evolution is check his appearance. Chrome clenches his fist, begging the system to bring him a little closer to a human. A bright green light envelops him. Evolution has begun. Chrome's body distorts. He feels his essence changing. A powerful surge of energy accompanies his painful transformation. The system reports evolution into werewolf. New appearance, taller, with a mask and long claws. Chrome the werewolf stands in the darkness, his new appearance frighteningly alien. Chrome looks at his reflection, noting that he has become much larger and his clothes are torn. He touches his new face, a mask that cannot be removed, realizing that this is a monster of a higher rank. Chrome muses, evolution should bring you closer to ideal strength, but he wanted to become a human, not this. The system explains, werewolf is an undead creature that imitates the living to attack. Those who see its true form do not survive. He realizes that he has become a much more terrible monster than a ghoul and thinks about the ability to imitate the living. Chrome decides to check its new status by opening the system window. Status shows, werewolf level 20, rank C, significantly increased stats and skills, regeneration, and masquerade. Chrome analyzes. Its stats are much higher than the ghoul's. A C-rank monster is a serious threat even to a group of adventurers. His attention is drawn to the skill Masquerade on causing surprise. Looking at his mask, Chrome wonders with hope, will he be able to become human again with the help of Masquerade? Chrome decides to try out Masquerade, and his body is enveloped in a turquoise glow. The mask detaches from his face, floating in the air, surprising Chrome. A bright flash hides his figure, changes begin. In the reflection of the water, Chrome sees his former human face. He is amazed. He looks almost the same as before turning into a ghoul. Chrome tries his voice. It's a little hoarse, but quite human. He thinks he can pass for human if he covers his face a little. Suddenly, Chrome feels his strength leaving him. The system explains, Masquerade allows you to temporarily take on human form, but constantly consumes mana. Chrome calculates that his maximum mana reserve will allow him to remain human for about 4 hours. Chrome the werewolf thinks about the difficulties of living in the city, but sees a chance in increasing his mana. A sudden noise from above. Chrome in human form suddenly looks up. A powerful tremor shakes the dungeon, and Chrome can barely stand on his feet. He falls to his knees in horror. What's happening? An earthquake! A giant boulder falls from the ceiling right onto werewolf Chrome. The stone breaks nearby. Chrome, human again, suspects disaster in the dungeon. The system explains, dungeons are the product of evil mana from the remains of ancient monsters. The accumulation of this mana causes a disaster, a breakthrough of monsters and anomalies. Chrome recalls recent powerful enemies. Could these have been harbingers? He tries to drive away bad thoughts, but the premonition of trouble grows. Chrome in human form looks around. The dust from the collapse has not yet settled. Another gargoyle emerges from the dust with a roar, the system showing its high level. Chrome realizes in horror that this monster will not wait and is serious. The gargoyle quickly attacks with its sword, causing Chrome to stagger back. He clutches the stone, realizing that in his human form he has no claws to fight with. Chrome desperately throws a rock at the monster, shouting a curse. The stone creature is surprised by such a bold but weak attack. The hero grits his teeth. In human form he lacks strength. The gargoyle spews a stream of purple flame, Chrome screaming in pain. The monster, engulfed in dark energy, continues its relentless attack. Chrome the werewolf throws the gargoyle back with a powerful blow. The fallen gargoyle screams. Chrome had anticipated its stone body attack. The werewolf finishes off the monster, which flies into pieces. Chrome receives 90 experience points for defeating the stone creature. He understands that regeneration allowed him to pass through the flames. Chrome is surprised at how easily he defeated the gargoyle and thinks that now he can handle even an ogre. He realizes that he doesn't have the weaknesses of monsters, and his regeneration makes him almost tireless. Chrome is confident that no gargoyles are scary to him now. Suddenly, new threatening sounds come from the darkness. 2 angry gargoyles with blazing eyes appear before him. Chrome sees that there are even more gargoyles. A whole flock is approaching him. He decides that fighting is pointless and hides behind a rock, hoping that they will fly away. Chrome ponders. The level of monsters is clearly increasing. Something strange is happening in the dungeon. Chrome's attention is drawn to a glowing object that falls from the fallen gargoyle. He picks it up and the system tells him he's gained 90 experience points and leveled up to 21. Chrome is surprised at how easily he defeated the gargoyle and reflects on the werewolf's incredible strength. He notices a small scratch on his hand, left in the fight. Chrome activates regeneration, and the wound instantly heals, causing him to marvel. The system shows its status as level 21, and Chrome thinks the next evolution at level 30 might come sooner. New weaker monsters suddenly appear, but Chrome is worried. C-rank monsters are too common here. Chrome assumes it is a dungeon plague, recalling the recent ogre as an omen. He understands that if this is the case, high-level monsters will pour out, wreaking havoc. The only way to stop this is to defeat the heart of the dungeon, its boss, but Chrome doesn't know where it is. Suddenly, Chrome hears footsteps and realizes with surprise that these are not monsters, but people. Someone's boot stomps roughly next to Chrome's hiding place, causing him to freeze. Knight Frank Frey, level 20, appears, certain that the earthquake and monsters are signs of disaster. Next to him is the level 19 archer Guido Gilraid, offering to report to the guild. Level 18 warrior girl Shelley Schultz objects, insisting on defeating the boss immediately. Chrome reproaches himself for delaying, realizing that he won't be able to stand up to this group. Guido asks skeptically why they would take such a huge and unnecessary risk. Frank argues that the dungeon's disaster is getting worse over time, but they have a chance since they discovered it early. Guido questions Frank's naivety, reminding him that the boss's level and form change during a disaster. The system shows how a normal goblin boss can evolve into a more powerful form. Frank dreamily suggests that the magic stone of such a boss could be sold for a fortune. The knight seriously adds that turning the dungeon into a nest of monsters will hit trade and cause famine. Frank pompously declares that it is the duty of adventurers to protect people by accepting challenges. A dark memory emerges, a girl being attacked by werewolves with an ominous mask in the background. Frank reminds Guido that it was the dungeon disaster that caused the destruction of Shelley's hometown. Shelley hangs her head, clearly moved by the painful memories of the tragedy. Chrome, eavesdropping, compares the girl's fate to his own, admitting that she may have had it worse. Frank admits that the risk is great, but reporting to the guild is also an important duty. Guido's eye flashes turquoise as he notices something. The archer draws the bowstring, the arrow aimed straight at Chrome's shelter. Chrome is in a panic. He was hiding, but he was still discovered. Guido confirms. His Eye of Artemis skill gave the answer. He knew something was wrong. Chrome understands that running now is too dangerous. He needs to act. Frank gives 3 seconds for the one hiding to come out. The knight begins to count down, his sword flashing a bright blue light. Chrome activates Masquerade, transforming into a human. From behind the rock, Chrome emerges in human form, claiming that he is simply an adventurer. Frank lowers his sword in surprise, apologizing to the man. Guido, with his bow drawn, asks suspiciously why he was hiding. Chrome justifies himself by saying that he didn't know who they were, adventurers or bandits. Guido's gaze remains tense. He clearly does not trust the stranger. Chrome internally notes that the archer is overly wary and has an ominous aura about him. Guido's hand tightens on the bow. He considers whether to shoot. Frank notices Chrome's shabby appearance and his obvious wariness, doubting his words. Chrome understands that his human form could not completely deceive the adventurers. The situation has not improved. Frank and Guido still look at him with suspicion. Chrome touches the mask, realizing that even masquerade didn't clear their doubts. Guido does not lower his bow, his gaze full of cold mistrust. Frank tries to smooth things over by apologizing for Guido's unfriendliness. The knight ponders, how did the stranger get so deep without a single scratch? Judging by the torn clothes, Chrome has been here for a long time. But where is his weapon, and what is his level? Frank admits that Guido's suspicion is excessive, although useful for an adventurer. Chrome panics. If they continue asking questions, his disguise may not hold up. He realizes that they could attack at any moment and considers the option of striking first. Chrome frantically searches for an exit while Frank studies him thoughtfully. Suddenly, Shelley approaches Chrome, worriedly asking if he can handle the disaster alone. Chrome is taken aback by her sudden concern, not understanding why she is not afraid of him at all. Guido shouts at Shelley not to be so reckless. The stranger could be a bandit. Shelley replies with a smile that she knew he wasn't a bad person the moment she saw his face. The archer mutters in irritation, calling the girl a damn carefree idiot. Shelley sympathetically asks Chrome if he came alone and where his comrades are. The warrior girl readily offers to help him get out if he is in trouble. Chrome, caught off guard, blurts out that he's fine and takes off running, surprising Shelley. Frank calmly tells Guido that there is no need to shoot anymore. Shelley watches Chrome leave, worried if he can handle it alone. Guido sarcastically calls her a damn empty shell, doubting that they would help such a suspicious character. Shelley retorts, offended, that he looked strange but not evil, and could die alone in the disaster. Frank believed that the stranger was suspicious, possibly a criminal, and that pursuing him would be dangerous. Shelley counters, claiming that he didn't strike her as a bad person. Frank reflects. Guido scared the fugitive too much, but fighting with others in the dungeon is a bad idea. The knight admits that the situation was tense, but Shelley's kindness allowed them to part peacefully. Frank appreciates the adventurer's caution, but he also considers Shelley's trust in people a virtue. The commander decides to forget about the strange guy and focus on the main threat. Frank turns to Guido. It's up to the archer to decide whether to retreat or try to fight the boss. Guido gloomily declares that he does not share their ideals and does not sympathize with Shelley. The archer, however, agrees that it is better to deal with the disaster now, since he can always escape. Shelley looks at Guido with delight and gratitude, touched by his unexpected consent. Frank happily hugs Guido, calling him a goody-goody. Guido grimly clarifies that he is here to use them as a shield and demands that they let him go. Shelley cheers the team on with a smile, reminding them that they are some of the best in the guild. The girl resolutely clenches her fist, suggesting that they act together and quickly defeat everyone. Suddenly, Shelley's face becomes serious. She thinks about the disaster in the dungeon. Before her mind's eye, ominous silhouettes of demons rise among the ruins. Shelley is determined to prevent a repeat of the tragedy while she can still act. Meanwhile, Chrome, breathing heavily, stops in a dark passage, realizing that he simply ran away. He looks around in his mask, wondering if he is being followed, and admits his suspicion. Chrome remembers Shelley's sympathetic question, worrying whether he could cope alone. Chrome was touched. No one had spoken to him so kindly for a long time. He remembers, a week has already passed since he became undead. Even his former squad mates treated him coldly. Chrome ponders the adventurer's words to challenge the boss. They looked like a strong group, but he was plagued by doubts about their chances. The guy tries to push away disturbing thoughts. It's not his concern. Trying to warn them would most likely end in another skirmish with the archer. The adventurers are confident, and his suspicious appearance will only hinder them. Moreover, in human form, he cannot use his full strength. Frank's words come to mind. Protecting the city is their duty as adventurers. Chrome freezes, lost in thought, his yellow eye glittering in the dim light. Meanwhile, Guido feels a powerful pressure. They are at a dead end, and it is clearly the dungeon boss. Frank sternly warns the team not to relax. The enemy will be stronger than all the previous ones. A huge gargoyle king, the boss of the level 30 dungeon, appears before them. The monster lets out a deafening roar, its red eyes burning with rage. Shelley looks at the boss's stats with concern. level 30, higher than she expected. But the girl resolutely clenches her teeth. It's too late to retreat. Frank immediately gives the order. He takes the front, Shelley goes around the side. The knight understands that with such a strong opponent, the fight cannot be drawn out. He needs to go for broke. Frank unleashes a powerful blow on the enemy, shouting, "Sword wave!" Frank unleashes Sword Wave on the Gargoyle King, the attack hitting its target. The knight understands that the monster has blocked the blow, but that's not all. Frank notices the vulnerability and shouts that the enemy's hand is defenseless. There is a deafening sound of impact, and a flash illuminates the dungeon. Frank is horrified. The boss turned out to be incredibly strong. Shelley, following the plan, comes from the side and attacks the Gargoyle King. The girl is surprised by the boss's level, but notes his slowness and activates the Sword Princess skill. Shelley notices an opening in the monster's defenses and prepares to strike. The warrior launches a quick attack, her sword glittering in the semi-darkness. Shelley is confused. She feels like her blow has done no damage. Suddenly, Guido's arrow flies off the bowstring, cutting through the air. The arrow hits the Gargoyle King, but bounces off, shattering into pieces. Guido whispers in despair. His arrows are useless against the stone skin. Frank analyzes. The boss is slow, has high defense, but is incredibly huge. The Gargoyle King looms over them, his red eyes glowing and two swords in his hands. Frank understands that if he can't break through the stone, he must aim for the eyes, but the monster's swords are in the way. The Gargoyle King grips the hilt of his sword so hard that a cracking sound can be heard. Frank parries the crushing blow with difficulty, his sword barely withstanding the onslaught. The knight grits his teeth, thinking feverishly, there must be a way to win. The Gargoyle King becomes enveloped in an ominous red aura, and a magic circle appears beneath him. Frank is horrified. The boss also has magical skills? The Gargoyle King is enveloped in a fiery vortex, activating Flame Vortex. Frank, burned and wounded, can hardly contain a groan of pain. The knight sees the despair in Shelley's eyes, realizing that she has lost all hope. Frank clenches his fist. He is the leader, and if he gives in, the team will fall. Despite everything, Frank swings his sword again, preparing Sword Beam. The knight steps forward decisively. We must attack immediately. Frank fearlessly charges straight into the raging firestorm of the Gargoyle King. Shelley screams in horror, not believing that Frank would take such a desperate step. The Gargoyle King's face is twisted into an evil grin, his red eyes glowing. Frank, engulfed in flames, unleashes Cross-Strike on the Gargoyle King. A crack appears on the monster's stone face, but his furious gaze does not fade. The knight, overcoming the pain, shouts to Guido, urging him to attack immediately. Guido, gritting his teeth, releases a special arrow, putting all his strength into it. The archer's arrow pierces the Gargoyle King's eye, breaking through his defense. The boss recoils, acknowledging their hits, but immediately prepares to strike back. The Gargoyle King raises his sword over the exhausted Frank, his eyes burning with vengeance. A powerful blow throws the knight back. He rolls limply on the ground. Guido, in a panic, shouts to Shelley that Frank is down and they need to retreat. The Gargoyle King looms over Frank's motionless body, ready to deliver the finishing blow. Shelley screams Frank's name in horror, her face contorted with fear. The girl resolutely stands between the defeated Frank and the Gargoyle King looming over him. Guido is furious and yells at Shelley, calling her an idiot for being so reckless. Shelley, exhausted, falls to her knees with Guido lying prostrate next to her. The warrior desperately thinks about how to save Frank, realizing that she will not be able to carry him away and fight. The girl bitterly apologizes to Guido, hoping that at least he will be able to escape. Guido, overcoming his pain, objects, he made his own choice. The archer firmly states that he has decided to stay and fight of his own free will. Shelley is touched by Guido's words, her gaze once again directed at the giant monster. The Gargoyle King lets out a furious roar as he raises his sword for a crushing blow. Suddenly, a mysterious masked warrior appears behind Shelley, raising a huge sword. The stranger, with fury in his eyes, shouts that he is challenging the stone bastard. Shelley is amazed to recognize him as the guy they met earlier. Frank, lying on the ground, asks in a weak voice why he is here. The masked warrior looks down thoughtfully, as if pondering the answer. He remembers hesitating, afraid to interfere or reveal his true nature. The guy covers his face with his hand, scolding himself for his endless excuses. Suddenly, he straightens up decisively. Enough thinking, time to act. A memory emerges. He decided to become an adventurer to protect people despite the ridicule. He thinks of Frank and Shelley walking to their deaths, and knows now is not the time to be afraid. The masked warrior is confident that his level is higher, and he will definitely be useful in battle. The swords cross with a deafening ringing sound, striking out a sheaf of green sparks. The guy grits his teeth. His blade has taken damage, but he continues to fight. The Gargoyle King grins. The difference in levels makes it almost impossible for the stranger to win. The masked warrior's statistics confirm that he is weaker, but his resolve is not broken. The stranger blocks the blow with difficulty and is thrown back by the monster's power. He realizes the bitter truth. He cannot defeat this giant alone. The warrior looks around, wanting the others to run, but realizes they don't have that option. The gaze falls on Frank, lying unconscious in a pool of his own blood. Next to him is an exhausted Shelley, her face expressing utter despair. The masked warrior understands that the boss has almost no vulnerable spots except for the eyes and stomach. He parries the blow of the giant sword with difficulty, green sparks lighting up the darkness. The Gargoyle King's power pushes the guy back. The red background adds to the tension. Shelley screams in horror. The stranger has been seriously injured. Guido thinks bitterly that the boy seemed capable, but apparently this is his limit. Suddenly, the masked warrior's eyes flash a bright blue light. He does not give up. The guy grins, saying that the king should not have relaxed. He is stronger than he looks. A bright blue flash as his sword cuts through the air, aiming straight at the monster's eye. The Gargoyle King reels back in shock from the unexpected and precise attack. The warrior is enveloped in a green glow. Regeneration has been activated because he is undead. The masked warrior announces that the real battle is just beginning, his eyes burning with determination. The Gargoyle King roared, unleashing a fiery attack. Flame whirlwind! The guy realizes in horror that the monster set himself on fire. He realizes that he cannot attack while the king is engulfed in flames. The warrior dodges the fire strike, his sword piercing the ground. The Gargoyle King pins the guy to the wall with his fire whirlwind. Panic is reflected in the warrior's eyes. He cannot dodge. Shelley screams in horror, thinking that this time he will definitely die. Suddenly, a bright purple light flashes, heralding an unexpected turn. Someone's dark-clawed hands are squeezing something. Dark liquid is dripping. The masked warrior grins, his red eyes glowing, asking if the king thought he had won. The guy suddenly raises his sword, which flashes with purple light, preparing for a new attack. The Gargoyle King lets out a furious roar, his face contorted in pain and surprise. Shelley is shocked and does not understand why the monster is screaming, even though he grabbed the warrior. The warrior is engulfed in crimson flames, but he stands motionless, taking the blow. The warrior's clawed hand tightens its grip on the hilt of the sword, from which dark energy flows. The guy grits his teeth in pain, his mask slipping slightly, revealing a determined look. A powerful fire strike throws the warrior back, forcing him to rest his sword on the ground. The Gargoyle King is confused. How is this guy still alive and how durable is he? A huge purple cut is visible on the monster's chest, left by the warrior's attack. The Gargoyle King unleashes another crushing blow with his sword on the warrior. The guy understands that the monster doesn't give him a chance to counterattack, and his mana is running out. His stats are alarmingly low. HP is almost 0, and MP is barely enough to maintain regeneration. The warrior realizes that one more blow, and he will not be able to hide his true nature under the masquerade. However, he notices that the Gargoyle King is also at his limit. He needs to find a hole in his defense. The monster again presses the guy against the wall, not giving him any room to maneuver. The warrior is in despair. The king's attack range is too great, and the element of surprise is lost. The first thing he needs to do is get away from the wall, and he tries to make a dash. But the Gargoyle King anticipates his maneuver, raining down a hail of stones on him. The warrior's gaze is full of determination. It seems the monster is not going to let him go. Shelley watches the battle with concern, fearing for the masked warrior. Guido, overcoming the pain, reaches for his bow. He has to do something. The archer resolutely pulls the bowstring, not wanting to remain a simple spectator. A glowing arrow is released from the bowstring, heading towards the Gargoyle King. The masked warrior is surprised. Could it be that the same archer decided to intervene? The arrow hits the ceiling above the monster, causing a collapse of rocks. The Gargoyle King is distracted by falling debris, loosening his grip. The warrior notices cracks on the monster's forehead. This is his only chance. The guy screams and thrusts his sword right into the giant's vulnerable spot on the head. A powerful burst of red energy throws the warrior back, but his sword remains on target. The warrior is thrown back, realizing that the monster is too strong despite the damage he received. He decides to attack immediately while the Gargoyle King is writhing in pain. However, his sword lies at the very feet of the monster, out of reach. In desperation, the guy decides to resort to hidden power. His hand begins to transform. Shrouded in a red aura, the warrior charges at the giant in a last desperate attack. His eyes glow red as he screams that this is the end for the Gargoyle King. The warrior's clawed hand, engulfed in turquoise light, falls upon the enemy. A powerful explosion of energy envelops the Gargoyle King at the point of impact. The warrior stands with his back turned, his transformed hand hanging down. He doesn't believe he has won. The defeated Gargoyle King disappears, and the guy receives a notification that he has leveled up to 25. The warrior is left alone, thinking, with the death of the boss, the dungeon should disappear. He looks back at the archer with concern, hoping that his true form has not been noticed. Guido is amazed. A stranger has single-handedly defeated a monster that they could not cope with. The guy looks at his status, realizing how much he has improved thanks to this disaster. A satisfied smile lights up his face. Evolution is making him stronger, bringing him closer to his ideal form. Shelley approaches the warrior, gratefully introducing herself and thanking him for saving her. The boy flinches in surprise, his gaze still fixed on the almost zero mana. The girl looks at him with hope, wanting to know the name of her savior. The warrior is in a panic. He has almost completely exhausted his reserves of magical energy. His statistics confirm his fears. There are only 2 units of mana left out of 36. The skill Masquerade requires mana, which the warrior has almost none left to maintain human form. The guy, in a panic, decides to immediately hide before his essence is revealed to those he saved. Shelley timidly reaches out her hand, trying to learn the name of her mysterious savior. The warrior turns sharply and runs away, muttering apologies for the rush and leaving the girl bewildered. Shelley watches him go with sadness, realizing that he has disappeared without giving his name. Guido frowns in confusion, not understanding the strange behavior of the masked stranger. The archer notices that the warrior didn't even take the boss's magic stone lying on the ground. Guido emphasizes the value of the stone. It is proof of victory over the dungeon disaster. Shelley admiringly suggests that their savior must be an incredibly humble hero, since he went away without a reward or a name. Guido suspects that it is not a matter of modesty. Why was he alone, and how did he heal from his wounds so quickly? Shelley reproaches Guido for being overly suspicious of their savior. Suddenly, the hooded girl exclaims, "Frank, are you awake?" addressing Guido. Frank, aka Guido, smiles weakly and admits that the stranger saved them, despite the oddities, and he is not a villain. The girl in the hood thoughtfully agrees with Frank's words. Meanwhile, Frank reaches for the magic stone left behind by the boss, saying, "Like this." Picking up the stone, Frank notes that getting such an artifact from a huge monster is a great success. He explains to Shelley, the stone is needed as proof of victory, and they will be able to repay the hero when they meet. Shelley, looking thoughtful, repeats Frank's words about a possible new meeting. The girl's face lights up with hope. She believes that they will still see their savior. Meanwhile, the warrior, already in his true form, breathes heavily, glad that the masquerade did not fly off prematurely. The warrior complains. Too much regeneration, and mana is almost at 0, even though the level has grown to 25. He can now maintain his human form for 6 hours. Masquerade costs 1 mana every 10 minutes. It will take half a day for mana to fully regenerate, and life among humans seems possible if one can hide. Suddenly, his thoughts are clouded by concern for his missing foolish brother. Deciding that this would be excellent skill training, he plans to return to human society. Meanwhile, in the capital of Ryberg, the Adventurers Guild is bustling with life. Frank and Shelley talk about the dungeon in the western caves and the defeated boss, causing surprise among those around them. Frank confirms the seriousness of the situation. A level 30 monster could turn the entire area into a nest of monsters. Guildmaster Gars listens skeptically, not believing that the two of them could defeat such a monster. Frank, looking serious, clarifies that they weren't the ones who defeated this monster. Guildmaster Gars asks incredulously, "What?" Shelley exclaims with delight. "A valiant knight appeared and instantly killed the boss." Gars asks skeptically if anyone could have defeated a level 30 monster on their own. The Guildmaster brushes it off, considering Shelley's story to be another one of her fantasies. The girl insists excitedly, describing a savior with white hair and a masculine face. Frank mentally compares her description with the warrior's actual appearance, pale and haggard. He accuses Shelley of embellishing, but she retorts that he is the one who is making the hero look bad. Frank admits that while they did help, the bulk of the credit goes to the mysterious warrior. The guildmaster still finds it hard to believe what he heard. Frank takes out a glowing magic stone, claiming that it will prove their words about the boss fight. The guildmaster is amazed by the size of the stone, and the other adventurer does not believe in the existence of the white-haired savior. The adventurers doubt such a strong warrior would be famous, and why did he leave without a reward? One of the adventurers suggests that the hero is simply a humble knight, the other that he is obsessed with battles. The adventurer girl dreamily assumes that he is a prince in secret training, admiring his nobility. Gar scratches his head thoughtfully, assuming the warrior had his reasons, and apologizes to Frank. The magician girl notes that there are amazing unknown adventurers and recalls the western caves. Someone's fingers touch the inscription on the stone. "I will definitely return. Just wait." The girl mage anxiously presses her hand to her chest, hoping that her friend was not harmed in the dungeon. She explains, "Without a boss, the dungeon will be weaker. There will be fewer monsters, and a new boss will not appear anytime soon." Clutching her staff tighter, the mage girl ponders whether she should go looking for that man again. Frank, with a bag of money, exclaims joyfully, "Such a reward was worth the risk." Guido grimly protests that it's not worth their lives, but Frank is already planning his expenses. Shelley doubts whether it is right to take the hero's money, but Frank waves it off. They will sort it out if he returns. Frank divides the loot 3 ways, handing Guido and Shelley their shares, surprising the archer. Shelley gets a cut of Frank's share as well, her eyes widen in amazement. The girl excitedly babbles that she can't take so much. Guido silently holds his bag. Frank encourages her, reminding her that this is the first time she's going home in a long time. He sternly warns Shelley to be careful. There is unrest in her area at the moment. Shelley bows deeply, thanking Frank and apologizing for the disturbance. The girl with the glowing eyes promises to repay him tenfold one day, and Frank smiles back. Shelley, beaming with happiness, waves goodbye as she sets off on her way. Frank smiles warmly and waves back at her while Guido watches grimly. Guido is disdainful that Shelley will give the money to the church, considering it a waste. Frank says thoughtfully, "The mana from the depths of the earth is becoming stronger every year."
He continues, "According to rumors, the kingdom will be swallowed up by the dungeons, and their struggle, although it seems pointless, is important for the orphans."
Frank is convinced that people cannot sit idly by, and reminds Guido that he also fought with the boss. Guido grimly counters that it is too late for Shelley's hometown of Oddfield. He thinks that Shelley would be better off forgetting this doomed city as soon as possible. Suddenly, the frame shifts to a monster with a flower mask emitting a terrible scream. The monster attacks and a system message appears. 36 EXP gained. The warrior looks at his stats. The leveling has slowed down. It seems that this is the limit for this dungeon. He thinks, the boss is dead. There are almost no monsters, and he has no reason to stay here anymore. The hero decides to find a new dungeon and return to people for information. He will have to go to the city with the current level, although Kalmea seems too crowded. An image of a busy Kalmai street full of people flashes through his mind. The warrior worries that even human form will not hide the scars, and dreams of an abandoned city. Meanwhile, at the tavern, the merchant furiously refuses to carry a cargo to the western town of Oddfield. The hooded traveler asks in surprise if Oddfield is really that terrible, to which he is reproached for his ignorance. The merchant shouts that Oddfield is a place where corpses and monsters on the streets don't bother anyone. The warrior decides that if Oddfield is in such chaos, he can disappear there, hiding his appearance. The warrior ponders that a rest at the inn will help restore mana for the masquerade and sell monster stones. The masked hero carefully makes his way out of the cave, leaving the cleared dungeon. He decides to take a risk and enter the ruined city of Oddfield. Before him appears the deserted street of Oddfield, shrouded in the fog of destruction. The warrior, having taken human form, notices that the city is indeed abandoned, but the people look normal. On the streets of Oddfield, he sees ordinary citizens living their lives amidst the ruins. The hero is happy about the opportunity to be among people again, even though this is a test of his masquerade. However, he is worried about the looks of passers-by. He needs to hide his fangs and find better clothes. The warrior clenches his fist resolutely. First, he will need money. The gaze falls on a sign, probably a tavern or a weapons shop, a place where you can get what you need. The masked warrior offers the merchant 3 level 20 monster magic stones. The merchant looks skeptically at the frail-looking warrior without a weapon, doubting his strength. The warrior mentally rejoices. The gargoyle stones picked up on the way out will provide him with a place to live. The merchant casually throws in a few coins, valuing the stones at only 500 gold. The warrior is shocked. In the capital, he would have received 10 times more for such stones. The merchant calmly confirms that the price would be higher in the capital. But he adds sternly, "This is Oddfield, a city of outcasts, not the capital." The merchant suspiciously suggests that the stones are obviously stolen, which frightens the warrior. He explains, "In this guild, they don't ask about your name, or the origin of the stones, or even about the blood on your clothes." The merchant threatens to take the stones, but warns of dangers outside the city. The warrior is in despair. The money will only last for a couple of days. Everything turned out worse than expected. He understands that the merchant has seen through his inexperience and that bargaining was useless. Suddenly, a stranger in armor addresses him, noting that the warrior is new here. The hero recoils in fear, asking what he wants. The stranger introduces himself as Jeff, a well-known figure in the Oddfield Guild, and offers to help the newcomer get settled in. The warrior thinks doubtfully about the rules and the fact that Jeff might not be so bad after all. Jeff grins sinisterly, confirming that it is indeed about rules. The next moment, Jeff roughly pushes the warrior against the wall, ripping off his mask. The hero screams in horror, not understanding what is happening. Jeff demands that he hand over all the money he got from petty theft in exchange for protection. The warrior realizes that they were simply trying to rob him, and what's wrong with this damned city? The hero, clenching his fists, coldly refuses, "Sorry, but I'm fine." Jeff smirks mockingly, not believing that some boy dares to contradict him. With a sudden push, the warrior throws Jeff back, and he only manages to scream in surprise. Jeff, flying away, is amazed by the inhuman strength of this seemingly fragile newcomer. The people around laugh, "Look, some brat got the better of Jeff. He just tripped." The hero assesses the enemy. It feels like Jeff is about level 20. An enraged Jeff draws his sword, shouting that he will not allow some brat to humiliate him. The warrior is shocked. Did this guy seriously draw his sword in broad daylight? A friend tries to restrain an enraged Jeff. "Calm down, it's not worth it." The warrior sees a chance to counterattack. A powerful kick sends Jeff's sword flying. Jeff is furious, his sword flies off. The warrior takes advantage of the moment and runs away. Jeff vows revenge on the fugitive. The warrior thinks he could win, but it would attract attention. He complains about a poor start at Oddfield. A tired warrior sits in a room, thinking about the difficulties. He spent almost all the money on the mask, the dagger, and the room. There wasn't even enough for the common room. We need to restore mana. The priest looks at the bag of money doubtfully. "Shelley, are you sure you can give that much?" Shelley, hugging the child, smiles. "Don't worry, father, I'm a promising newcomer in the capital." The father admits that the money is a help, but the main thing is that Shelley got out and is earning a living. He adds sadly that it would be better for her to forget this place. Shelley strongly objects. She will never forget the church that sheltered her after the dungeon disaster. The girl looks at the children tenderly. "Besides, I have many younger brothers and sisters here." The boy asks excitedly, "Sister Shelley, are you a famous adventuress in the capital?" Then the child asks hopefully, "Then will you be able to close the disaster hole?" Shelley momentarily loses confidence, but replies, "Yeah, I'm sure I can one day." As she says goodbye, Shelley promises to return and asks everyone to take care of themselves. The priest reminds Shelley that being an adventurer is dangerous and asks her to take care of herself. Meanwhile, the warrior thinks, everyone is trying to deceive him and there are too many spies in the capital. He understands that his suspicious appearance will attract the guards, and only in Oddfield can he walk during the day. Moreover, he may be recognized in the capital since he is considered dead, which will cause a stir. So Oddfield is a much safer choice, and he continues his journey through the city. Suddenly, Shelley appears on the stairs, walking towards him. The girl stops abruptly, exclaiming in surprise, "Ah!" The hooded warrior notices her and smirks slightly, recognizing a familiar face. Shelley happily recognizes him. "So it was you who saved our lives back then." The warrior is in shock. He cannot believe such an incredible coincidence. Shelley beams with joy, not believing that they met so soon, and the warrior is still in a stupor. The girl considers this meeting with the savior in her hometown to be a true destiny. The hero remembers. Her name is Shelley Schultz, a fairly reliable adventurer of the 18th level. Her card pops into his mind's eye, Shelley Schultz, level 18. The warrior is puzzled as to why the experienced adventurer ended up in this city, since her companions did not look like criminals. He's afraid that if he continues the conversation, he might spill the beans or she might check his status. Shelley says with a smile that she would at least like to thank him. The warrior jumps back sharply, shouting that she was mistaken, and runs away, leaving Shelley bewildered. The girl desperately reaches out her hand, begging him to wait. Suddenly, her companion appears, suggesting that he was simply a suspicious character, perhaps a criminal exiled from the city. Shelley ponders. Such a strong warrior must have a reason to appear in Oddfield. The girl shouts after the fleeing man, promising not to meddle in his past. She continues her pursuit, wanting only to thank her savior. The warrior panicked. Could she have guessed that he was actually a monster? Shelley stops, losing sight of him, and is amazed at his speed, assuming a high level. The puzzled girl looks around, trying to figure out where he could have disappeared to. The hero realizes in horror that he has run into a dead end. A blank wall rises in front of him, cutting off his escape route. Suddenly it dawns on the warrior. His werewolf abilities and claws will help. His hands transform, releasing sharp claws ready to dig into the wall. Claws digging into the stone, the warrior desperately climbs up the sheer wall. He is almost there, whispering, "Just a little more." Suddenly the warrior falls down, dropping his dagger and screaming, "Wow!" In horror he screams, "My precious 240 gold pieces!" The hero flies down rapidly, his dagger falling nearby. He hits his back hard, complaining about the futility of his jump. Shelley leans over him, asking in surprise, what are you doing?" The warrior is in despair. He is caught, there is no way out. Shelley apologizes for the pursuit, and the warrior mutters that it was his own fault for the fall. He asks incredulously, "You really won't interfere in my affairs?" Shelley assures him that he is her savior, and he certainly has his own circumstances. The warrior thinks that he was unlucky to run into an acquaintance, but is glad that at least he can talk to someone. The girl hopefully asks what his name is because she still hasn't received an answer. The warrior reluctantly agrees, but only to this, and introduces himself. Chrome, Clink. Shelley happily addresses him as Chrome San, and he is already doubting whether it was worth telling his real name. Chrome, looking around the deserted street, timidly asks why Shelley is here. The girl says with a smile that he is not obliged to answer, but she herself does not mind. Shelley explains that she usually works in the capital, but it is her hometown and she visits it occasionally. Shelley's companions appear. One of them notices that 6 months ago the city was different, but now it is more dangerous. Shelley's companion reflects. He heard that the dungeon disaster was the cause of the decline of her hometown. Chrome realizes that Shelley's companions were discussing Oddfield. He admits that this is his first time in this city and asks Shelley to tell him about him. The girl recalls with a smile that many years ago Oddfield was a wonderful and kind place. But then, she said, the dungeon next to the city, the hole of disaster, began to transform. Monsters poured into the city, and everyone with status or money fled, cutting Oddfield off from the world. Shelley sadly explains that the city has become a haven for criminals and has fallen into ruin. She adds that although the bandits protect the city from monsters, they see the residents as nothing more than slaves. The girl resolutely declares, her dream is to become a first-class adventurer, close the hole of disaster, and free Oddfield. Chrome is shocked by her words, looking at the determined girl in front of him. The camera shows an old, cracked church bell tower against a blue sky. The boy enthusiastically tells the old man that he dreams of becoming an adventurer like Shelley. He proudly shows off the fireball in his palms, assuring her that it will be useful to her. The boy promises to make a lot of money for the church, and the old man smiles warmly. Suddenly, the old man becomes alert when he hears footsteps. Rarely does anyone come here. The boy assumes that Shelley forgot something and runs to the door. The door swings open and a bright light bursts out. 2 figures in dark cloaks with red dragon emblems appear in the opening. The boy, amazed, asks the strangers who they are. One of those who came grins maliciously, surprised that the good father is still in the city. The camera focuses on the ominous red dragon emblem on the stranger's shoulder. The old man recognizes them with horror as the evil dragons who rule the city. One of the bandits states that their expansion is going well, but they lack labor. They need slaves. His angry look confirms that the boss ordered to cleanse the city and take everyone, even the boy. The stranger asks the priest with a grin if he will refuse them, while the boy looks on in fear. The boy is in a panic, his hands are shaking. He doesn't understand why he is so afraid. Despite his fear, the boy clenches his fists, determined to become strong like Shelley and protect the church. Another bandit coldly remarks that the children are naughty, but will go quietly if the priest asks them to. The priest falls to his knees, begging them to spare the children. He prostrates himself, offering himself as a slave, if only they would let the children go. The bandit sneers, "Idiot, what do we need such a weak old man for?" The boy rushes forward, a magic circle glowing on his palm, shouting that he will not allow them to do evil. The priest cries out in despair, "It's no use, Tail-kun." Tail shouts, "Fireball!" and a small flame erupts from his hand. One of the bandits grins maliciously. "Oh, so you have fire magic, huh?" Another bandit puts out the flames with a wave of his hand, contemptuously saying, "How insignificant." Tail is horrified, not believing that his attack was so easily repelled. The bandit decides to teach a lesson on how skills are actually used, and a purple magic circle appears on his hand. Close-up of the bandit's hand with a glowing circle as he says, "Lightning strike." A powerful discharge of purple energy shakes everything around. The bandit stands impassively in the rising dust, his arms still outstretched. The bandit's partner grinningly praises Rido for his impressive skill. Tail despairs when he realizes that the enemy is too strong and there is nothing he can do. Rido decides to make an example out of the rebellious boy. He reaches out his hand to Tail, confident that it will help the priest understand everything. The priest realizes with horror that Tail will be killed if nothing is done. The old man's gaze falls on the spear leaning against the wall. It seems to glow with hope. The priest grabs the weapon, claiming that he once hunted monsters and knows a thing or two. Rido easily blocks the spear strike with his forearm, surrounded by a purple aura. The bandit irritably asks the priest what the hell he is doing. The priest desperately shouts at Tail to run immediately. Tail is teary-eyed but determined after hearing the priest's order. The boy jumps up and runs towards the brightly lit exit of the church. One of the bandits angrily shouts after Taylor, but Rido stops him. "Leave him alone, Jeff!" Rido coldly remarks that there are already plenty of children here, but there is something more important. Flashing with purple energy, Rido strikes, showing the priest who's boss. 3 more children emerge from another passage, alarmed by the loud noise. The beaten priest screams with all his might at the children to stay away. Jeff pins the priest to the floor, threatening to kill him if the children try to escape. The bandit roughly grabs the old man by the hair, forcing him to look down. Rido grins as he prepares another lightning bolt, intending to test how much the priest values children. A mysterious cloaked figure asks Shelley to be her guide through an unfamiliar city. Shelley enthusiastically agrees, claiming that she knows the city like the back of her hand. Suddenly, Shelley's face contorts in surprise or fear. At the tavern, Shelley's companion holds up a pouch, asking what they were supposed to do with the item they left behind. Shelley panics and admits that they sold the boss's magic stone, and now she needs to get the money back. The same boss in the cloak appears, starting a phrase about how he doesn't care, but his look is frightening. The boss holds a bag of money from the sale of the stone. Having changed his mind, the boss asks Shelley for 200 gold for a place to stay, and she immediately agrees. Then the stranger asks to tell about the nearest dungeon, when suddenly a familiar voice is heard. Tail runs towards them as fast as he can, and Shelley exclaims his name in surprise. Shelley worriedly tells Tail that it is not safe here, and he should not have come alone. The boy cries in tears that the scary people in the church are going to kill the priest. Shelley's face contorts in horror at Tail's words. She apologizes to Chrome, saying that she needs to go immediately and places her hand on Tail's shoulder. Chrome frowns and states that this sounds bad and he will go with her. The stranger reflects that Shelley is his only source of information, but that is not all. An image of a priest surrounded by laughing children comes to mind. Chrome feels that what is happening concerns him personally. The camera shows the church's tall bell tower reaching into the sky. Meanwhile, in the church, the priest writhes in pain, pierced by Rido's purple lightning. Rido looks at the priest's smoking wound, calling him a stubborn old man. The bandit steps hard on the head of the fallen cleric. Rido threatens, demanding that the old man order the children to obey, otherwise death is inevitable. He adds that the children will be taken away anyway, so stubbornness is useless. The priest, overcoming the pain, thinks that even if it doesn't change anything, his gaze is full of determination despite the torment. He wants the children to know that he loved them, while the frightened little ones look at him, and so that they remember that he didn't give up, hoping that it will help them in the future. Rido's face distorts with anger at the old man's disobedience. Jeff notices that the priest can't take it anymore and orders the children to watch closely. Rido raises his hand to strike, saying that this is what happens to those who go against the evil dragons. A sudden green flash interrupts the attack, causing Rido to turn around in surprise. Chrome appears in the breach in the wall with a sword, and Shelley, Chrome furiously shouts at the bandits. Rido complains about the excessive noise and the fact that someone else dares to interfere in their affairs. Jeff recognizes Chrome, his red eyes narrowing at the intruder. Chrome, shrouded in a turquoise aura, looks resolutely at the bandits. Shelley points in horror to the red dragon emblem, the sign of the evil dragons who rule the city. Rido, with purple energy in his hand, threatens that since they know who is in front of them, they must be prepared to die. The bandit leader and his henchmen prepare to face new enemies. Chrome, clenching his fist, stands firm in the face of the threat, Shelley standing behind him. The priest on the floor recognizes Shelley, whispering her name. Jeff grins maliciously, recognizing Chrome, the brat who ran away with his tail between his legs. Chrome recalls a previous run-in with Jeff, the guild's extortionist. The bandit with the sword is sure that this time the coward Chrome will not stop him. The priest begs Shelley and Chrome to run because the evil dragons will not leave them alone. The camera focuses on the red dragon emblem on the bandit's cloak. Jeff mockingly asks Chrome what this rusty piece of scrap metal is. The bandit mocks him, saying that Chrome is tense, as if he is fighting to the death for the first time. Chrome recalls the countless life-or-death battles he has already overcome. Chrome brazenly declares that Jeff should not be mistaken. Such a weakling will not scare him. Jeff asks again in bewilderment, not believing Chrome's insolence. Chrome attacks with lightning speed, his sword flashing green, causing Jeff to cry out. The bandit barely parries the blow, amazed by Chrome's speed and strength, suspecting his high level. Chrome, hidden by his hood, grips the hilt of his sword with determination, his gaze cold. Jeff rushes forward in rage, shouting that he will not accept this outcome. Chrome counters the attack and strikes back, hitting the bandit in the chest. Jeff flinches back, admitting that the blow nearly pierced his armor despite his dodge. Chrome, trembling with anger, thinks that he has found someone more disgusting than monsters. Chrome's sword ends up right next to Jeff's face, and he just lets out a muffled groan. Jeff is horrified to find himself shaking in front of Chrome, his hand flaring with purple energy. Rido raises his hand and a purple magic circle appears above it. The lightning strike spell is ready. Purple discharges crackle around. Shrouded in lightning, Rido rushes forward in a blinding flash. The bandit leader rushes towards Chrome with a determined look. Their swords clash, purple and green energies exploding into sparks. Rido acknowledges Chrome's strength, but considers him a fool for defending the ruins. Chrome realizes that the enemy is very strong, perhaps even stronger than his human form. The blades cross again, and the battle rages on with renewed vigor. Jeff is amazed that Chrome is able to stand up to Rido himself. However, the bandit notices Chrome's vulnerability, grinning maliciously. His back is exposed. Jeff, enveloped in a purple aura, swings his sword at Chrome's back. Suddenly, Shelley crosses swords with Jeff, protecting Chrome. Shelley firmly tells the bandit that she is now his enemy. Jeff shouts in rage that she will regret her insolence. The bandit attacks Shelley, their blades clashing with a purple glow. Shelley struggles to contain the powerful blow, her legs buckling. The girl is amazed by Jeff's speed and strength, realizing that his level is higher. Jeff smirks, feeling superior to the inexperienced warrior. The bandit is confident of victory. Both level and experience are on his side. Shelley staggers back from another blow, barely keeping her balance. Jeff mockingly asks Shelley if she's scared since this is her first death match. The bandit, with a nasty grin, admits that he likes to play with girls and asks Shelley not to die too quickly. Meanwhile, Rido crosses his sword with Chrome, green sparks lighting up his focused face. Chrome retreats with difficulty under the onslaught, clicking his tongue from the enemy's unexpected strength. Rido acknowledges Chrome's skill and bravery, but dismissively calls his sword scrap metal. Chrome's gaze under the hood becomes even more determined. A bead of sweat runs down his face. The bandit leader wonders why Chrome is fighting, since the strong always rule over the weak. Rido, shrouded in a purple aura, states that even Chrome's victory won't change anything, and he doesn't like wasting his energy. Jeff smirks smugly, anticipating what will happen next. Rido suggests that Chrome retreat, hinting that a battle between them could lead to irreparable consequences for both of them. Rido looks at Chrome with disdain, suggesting that he surrender for the sake of his pathetic sense of justice. Chrome grins with fangs, not understanding why he should retreat if it won't change anything. Memories of battles and humiliation strengthen Chrome's resolve not to give in to the likes of Rido. With red eyes, Chrome screams that he will not give in to threats after coming such a long way. Rido angrily calls Chrome a damn fool as his aura intensifies. A purple magic circle flares up under Rido's feet. He will not allow the evil dragons to be bullied. Rido's sword flashes with a blinding purple lightning, the lightning sword technique. Chrome is horrified to realize that Rido is using lightning magic on his sword. The bandit leader promises to incinerate Chrome, making him regret his choice. Shrouded in lightning, Rido charges forward, shouting, "Just die!" Rido's eyes glow purple, the power of his lightning sword technique about to unleash. The bandit leader rushes forward, his body enveloped in destructive purple energy. Chrome barely dodges, realizing that his sword will not withstand such a blow, and he himself will die. The boy grits his teeth. He can dodge, but if he is pushed against the wall, it is the end. Shelley looks at Chrome with concern while Jeff watches her angrily. The bandit yells angrily at Shelley, asking if she has time to worry about anyone else. Their blades clash again, purple sparks illuminating the tense battle. Jeff clicks his tongue, admitting to himself that the girl was tougher than he thought. Shelley steadfastly repels the attacks, although Jeff is confident in his superiority in level and experience. The bandit sweats in bewilderment, not understanding why he is bothering so much with this warrior. Jeff asks Shelley with irritation why she fights when there is no determination in her blows. Shelley, her eyes shining, declares that she will never give in to someone like him. An enraged Jeff lashes out at her with insults and a furious attack. Shelley realizes that Chrome is fighting a more dangerous enemy, and she is the one who dragged him into it. The girl decides that she must help Chrome as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Rido unleashes a barrage of lightning on Chrome, barely leaving him a chance to dodge. Chrome realizes in despair that he can neither block nor take blows. The wall will become his grave. Rido with the lightning sword seems out of reach, and Chrome frantically searches for a way out. The bandit leader mockingly invites Chrome to show his skills. Chrome clenches his teeth, his gaze becoming icy. He's up to something. Chrome ponders whether he should call off the masquerade and reveal his true form. He hesitates, because there are frightened children and a priest nearby. If he becomes a monster, everyone will panic and Shelley won't be able to fight. The young man decides that he cannot leave his human form now. But then he begins to doubt, is this really so? Chrome remembers how in the dungeon his threats only made the situation worse. However, now everything is different. Turning into a monster is better than allowing bandits to run amok in the church. He realizes that he is afraid not only that Shelley and the children will become afraid of him. Chrome bitterly realizes that he hid his true form because of his own ego. Rido, with a sword engulfed in lightning, interrupts his thoughts, offering to die since he does not want to use his power. Rido activates another magic circle, strengthening his lightning sword. Chrome realizes in horror, Rido is using 2 spells at once. The young man tries to reflect the powerful discharge of purple energy that fell on him. Thrown back, Chrome screams in pain, his arm burned by lightning. Rido looks down at the defeated Chrome, who curses in frustration. The bandit leader acknowledges Chrome's agility, but prepares to deliver the finishing blow. "The end of the road," Rido declares, unleashing an even more devastating lightning attack. Chrome's eye widens in sudden insight or shock at the inevitable. Despite his injury, Chrome takes out a small dagger with a determined look. Rido sneers, "As if you could block my sword with that pathetic thing." Rido's blinding purple lightning rushes towards Chrome. Chrome takes the hit. His body is pierced by the discharge, but he stands, baring his fangs. The priest exclaims in horror, "Has this adventurer really lost?" Rido's sword, shrouded in lightning, plunges deep into Chrome's chest. Rido is surprised. Chrome managed to avoid the fatal blow, barely escaping death. The bandit leader is sure that Chrome is on the verge of death and is preparing to finish him off. Suddenly, Rido notices something strange. His gaze freezes in bewilderment. Rido panics and tries to pull out his sword, but it is stuck in Chrome as if in stone. Chrome heals rapidly, his body is captured by the sword, and his skin changes color. With a predatory grin and glowing red eyes, Chrome declares, "Now you're caught!" Rido is shocked. Chrome is calm even with such a wound, and his aura has become chilling. Chrome, with scarlet eyes, explains that he exposed himself to the blow by deflecting Rido's sword. Before the attack, he changed his skin to a monstrous one and activated regeneration. The bandit leader asks in horror, looking at the transformed Chrome, "What are you?" Chrome, with fangs and claws, lets out a furious roar, his eyes glowing red. Chrome's powerful blow sends Rido flying, light bursting out of the bandit's chest. Rido's face is distorted with pain as he flies back from the crushing blow. Chrome stands, still holding Rido's sword in his chest, his gaze full of determination. A defeated Rido lies on the ground, muttering, "I was impossible." Chrome towers over his fallen enemy, his form still monstrous. The priest can't believe his eyes. The young man really defeated the formidable bandit. Jeff and Shelley are stunned. Rido, their leader, has been defeated. Chrome, still with the sword in his chest, groans, his monstrous form pulsating. Suddenly, Chrome, already hooded, declares that he is still capable of fighting. Shelley, with a battle cry, announces to Jeff that it is now 2 against 1. Jeff, surrounded, grits his teeth, realizing his disadvantage. The bandit sadly admits that nothing can be done and prepares for his final trick. Jeff releases poison mist, enveloping Shelley and Chrome in a purple haze. Shelley covers her mouth, realizing it's a smokescreen for an escape. There is a deafening crash as Jeff appears to be fighting his way out. Jeff, escaping through a hole in the wall, mocks their stupidity in fighting evil dragons over ruins. With a threatening look, the bandit declares that they rule in Oddfield, and the heroes will not see an easy death. Jeff's leg disappears through the gap and he shouts that they will regret what they did. Shelley and Chrome remain in the church, looking at the hole through which the bandit disappeared. Shelley breathes a sigh of relief, noting that they have managed to drive off the enemies so far. Chrome, still hooded and with scarlet eyes, thinks he's managed to hold out without revealing his true form, his hand glowing with healing magic. He wonders what to do if an enemy appears that cannot be defeated in human form. Chrome gloomily brushes off the disturbing thoughts. It won't change anything now. The heroes turn to the priest and the children, making sure they are safe. The priest thanks Shelley and then turns to Chrome, asking his name. A hooded, scarlet-eyed Chrome sweats nervously as the priest asks his name. The rescued woman with her children thanks the heroes, saying that without them everything would have ended badly. The priest is worried about Chrome's deep wound, but he assures him that he has a cure. Chrome thinks that his disguise is compromised due to regeneration, and he needs to get back quickly. Shelley firmly tells the priest that he can no longer stay in Oddfield. She explains that the situation has worsened, and the evil dragons could return at any moment. Shelley insists on moving to the capital, but the priest replies that he cannot do this. He explains that moving is expensive, taxes are high, and with children it will be very difficult. Shelley pleads with him, pointing to the destruction, and offers her help to leave the city. The priest, with a gentle smile, offers to show them how they can take care of themselves. The priest warns the heroes evil dragons will now hunt them. A memory of Jeff's threat surfaces. They won't see an easy death. The priest explains that the bandits are very scrupulous and will definitely return for revenge. Chrome, wearing a hood and with scarlet eyes, silently ponders what he has heard, a drop of sweat running down his face. Shelley bows deeply to Chrome, thanking him for his help and apologizing for her helplessness. The girl asks Chrome with concern about his future plans. Chrome admits that he was going to return to the tavern, but has no further plans and starts asking Shelley. A close-up of Shelley's eye showing anticipation or curiosity. Chrome immediately stops short, realizing that he can't just ask her for something. The heroes walk down the street, and Chrome reflects that Shelley will not leave the church, but she is also in danger. Shelley ponders that staying in the church means risking another attack by bandits. The girl understands that they don't have the means to move, and abandoning people means condemning them to violence. In desperation, Shelley doesn't know what to do in this hopeless situation. Chrome, hidden by the hood, is also painfully searching for an answer to the question, what to do next? The young man decides to ask Shelley about the Hole of Disaster, the reason for Oddfield's decline. Shelley explains that she was discovered north of the city, but strongly advises Chrome not to approach. She recalls how knights arrived from the capital to clean up, but they met a terrible fate. Chrome is shocked to the depths of his soul. Was the detachment sent by the kingdom completely destroyed? Shelley adds bitterly that since then the capital has simply forgotten about their city. Chrome, his eyes blazing, makes a decision. He will destroy the Hole of Calamity and free Oddfield. Chrome reflects that he originally came to Oddfield just to look for a place to level up. He needs high-level monsters, and the dungeon that killed the knights seems like the perfect option. The young man understands that if the evil dragons continue to cause havoc, he won't be able to count on their help in the fight against the monsters. But if he clears the disaster hole by defeating the boss, the knights of the kingdom will surely return and deal with the bandits. Chrome feels his strength is comparable to a monster and believes that he can level up deep in the dungeon. His resolve grows stronger. Saving Oddfield and evolving into the next form is his goal. Meanwhile, in the evil dragon's lair, Jeff reports to his leader Galrod. The bandit reports that someone interfered with their slave hunt, and even Rido was defeated. Jeff angrily names the culprit, a gloomy guy named Chrome, and demands immediate revenge. Galrod, the leader of the evil dragons, grins ominously, predicting that Chrome will soon be dealt with for his insolence. Galrod reproaches Jeff. He ran away as soon as his older comrade was defeated. The leader of the evil dragons asks Jeff with a grin what he thinks of him. A horrified Jeff fawns, calling Galrod an amazing and inspiring leader. Galrod's massive axe whistles past Jeff's head, slamming into the floor. The leader ominously asks if Jeff is more afraid of him than some Chrome. Jeff, on his knees, assures that of course he fears Galrod-sama above all else. Galrod directly threatens Jeff with death if he disgraces the name of the evil dragons again. A trembling Jeff agrees, reflecting on his boss's incredible strength and skills. The bandit recalls Galrod's nickname, Oddfield's Monster, which he even approves of. Galrod, seated on the throne, approaches Canella with a question about guarding the whole of Disaster. Canella, one of the top evil dragons, stands before Galrod, who asks if he gave her permission to do this. Galrod angrily warns that if that place is not kept under control, there will be big problems. Canella justifies herself by saying that she was busy with another urgent matter. She reports that the knights of the kingdom seem to have learned nothing and have been spotted in the city. Canella adds with a slight grin that she was busy investigating their activities. Galrod clenches his fist in rage. These damn knights are here? The leader of the evil dragons threatens that if the knights underestimate him, he will teach them a lesson as he did before. Canella advises Galrod not to rush headlong at the knights, although he understands his feelings. The girl wonders if the knights are hunting them or investigating the whole of Disaster and asks to wait a little. Meanwhile, Chrome is on the roof looking north of the city, thinking, north of the city, so Chrome decides that the disaster hole will not be difficult to find. In the distance, the ominous dungeon that caused Oddfield's suffering can be seen. After resting for half a day in the tavern, Chrome had fully restored his mana and stamina, ready for battle. Suddenly, the young man notices something strange. His scarlet eye narrows. He sees people on the street, even though the sun hasn't even risen yet. A one-eyed monster with a horn on its forehead swings a fireball, roaring. A powerful explosion shakes the street and flames engulf buildings. The frightened townspeople scream that the monsters have emerged from the dungeon and beg for help. Chrome realizes with anger, the evil dragons are not protecting the city at all. Suddenly, a girl in a cloak appears, declaring herself an adventurer and calling for the children to be taken to a safe place. One of the townspeople, clutching a sword, timidly offers his help in defense. Cyclops swings the fireball again, preparing for another attack. The man instinctively covers his face with his hand from the bright flash. Suddenly, a shining holy shield appears in front of him, blocking the flames. A cloaked adventurer parries a monster's blow with her sword. The monster recoils, clearly not expecting such resistance. The girl coldly orders the man to step aside, considering him useless. Chrome watches the fight from the roof, glad that he hasn't been noticed yet. The one-eyed monster growls angrily, preparing to continue the fight. The adventurer quickly rushes at the enemy, delivering a devastating blow. The adventurer turns around, her gaze full of determination. A hooded Chrome jumps down from the roof, offering his help. The girl is surprised. Are there really still strong adventurers left in the city? She orders Chrome to focus on the monster. Chrome agrees and charges at the Cyclops. The monster's claws collide with the girl's shining blade. The adventurer activates the skill Holy Sword, her weapon glowing with light. Chrome recognizes this technique as a holy version of the spell Rido used. The holy attribute effectively counteracts the evil mana of monsters. The Cyclops lets out a strangled roar, clearly feeling the power of the holy attack. The adventurer cuts the monster in half with her shining blade. The monster's body disintegrates, leaving only dark remnants on the cobblestones. Chrome is amazed. The holy attribute is incredibly effective against monsters with impure mana. The townspeople are delighted with the power of the girl, who dealt with the monster in an instant. The rescued man asks if she is a traveler, since he has never seen her before. The girl looks at Chrome intently, her gaze expressing suspicion. Strange. She senses a slight attraction between holy and evil mana, her sword reacting to Chrome. Chrome smiles in relief, glad that no one was seriously hurt. The girl squeezes the hilt of the sword, her gaze becomes determined. Let's check it out. Chrome stands over the defeated monster, noting that they did it, even though it was quite strong. Chrome is worried. If monsters are roaming the city so easily, it means the evil dragons are not protecting the residents. The townspeople look at what is happening in horror, their faces distorted with fear. Hooded Chrome frowns thoughtfully. Wait, something's not right here. The fallen Cyclops lies on the cobblestones, a dark substance oozing from the wound. The adventurer reflects. Nothing in the guy's words or behavior arouses suspicion. He even helped defeat the monster. Her gaze narrows, however, something incredible has happened. Holy mana should not react to an ordinary person. Chrome stands in the middle of a foggy street, lost in his thoughts. The girl clutches the sword, deciding to test her guess. It is unlikely that strong adventurers will visit the ruined city. Chrome is glad that no one was hurt, but he can't shake the feeling of unease. The rescued man suddenly pats Chrome on the shoulder, exclaiming, "You did a great job too, bro." The rescued man thanks the heroes. Without them, everything would have burned to the ground. The man is grateful from the bottom of his heart to Chrome and the adventurer for saving him. The townsmen gathered the people to thank the saviors. Chrome is embarrassed. Chrome is nervous. It is dangerous for him to be among so many people. A little girl with pigtails runs happily to her father, screaming that he is safe. The man hugs his daughter Malo tightly, happy to see him again. The father points out Chrome and the adventurer to his daughter, calling on her to thank the young heroes. Malo looks at his saviors with delight, calling them brother and sister. Hooded Chrome smiles sheepishly at the word hero. The adventurer turns sharply to Chrome, her gaze serious. "Hey, you!" Chrome turns around in fear, not understanding what is happening. Suddenly, the severed Cyclops' eye flashes ominously. From the remains of the monster, a hand rises, clutching a new fireball. The heroes and the townspeople are horrified. The monster is still alive and ready to attack. The adventurer reproaches herself. Distracted by Chrome's mana, she did not notice that the monster was not defeated. The girl calls upon the Holy Shield again, believing this to be the monster's final agony. She firmly declares that she will fight off the flames and immediately pierce his eye. The Cyclops tries to resist with all his might, wheezing. Little Malo watches in horror as the monster is reborn. The monster grins maliciously, its sharp teeth flashing in the semi-darkness. The fireball in the monster's hand is aimed at little Malo. The girl looks at the revived monster in bewilderment. The adventurer covers Malo with herself, realizing that the monster wants to drag the child away. Chrome reaches out, realizing he won't have time to intervene. His gaze is determined. In the guise of a monster, he would have made it. But is it worth filming Masquerade right here in front of everyone? In front of so many people, his human form will be destroyed. If he can't stay in Oddfield, he risks never meeting that girl again. Chrome, standing with his back turned, scolds himself for his delay. What an idiot I am. Memory. 2 werewolves holding a girl, and someone's hand reaches out to her. Chrome remembers his goal, to make this world a better place, even if only a little. He makes a decision. Now is not the time for a masquerade. The monster's hand launches a fireball straight towards Malo. The father screams his daughter's name in despair as he sees the flying flames. The fiery projectile rushes inexorably towards the defenseless girl. Malo closes his eyes, covering his face with his hands in anticipation of the blow. There is a deafening explosion, and everything around is lit up with flames. The Cyclops lets out a surprised wheeze as his attack met with resistance. A huge, dark-clawed hand appears in front of Malo, stopping the fire. The girl looks up in amazement, seeing her unexpected savior. Malo looks in amazement at the huge monster that protected her from the fire. The mysterious masked savior lets out a menacing roar, his face hidden in darkness. Father Malo whispers in horror, "What the hell?" as he sees the new monster. Monster Chrome quickly lunges at the stunned Cyclops. Cyclops lets out a strangled cry as he sees the new enemy's furious attack. Chrome grabs the Cyclops by the arm with which he tried to attack Malo. A new monster looms over the fallen Cyclops, whose arm is now severed. The townspeople scream in panic, "Monster!" not realizing that the danger has passed. Chrome, in his monster form, stands with his head down, aware of the horror in the people's eyes. The adventurer looks at the transformed Chrome with suspicion and intently. People look in horror at the monster Chrome towering over the fallen Cyclops. Father Malo panics and tries to protect his daughter and the adventurer from the new monster. Chrome thinks, "I don't regret my choice, but still..." He realizes, now I've really screwed everything up. Chrome looks at the girl worriedly. "What's wrong with her?" Little looks at his savior with surprise, but without fear. Chrome thinks with relief, "She's okay. Thank God." Father Malo screams furiously, Get away from my daughter, monster! The chrome monster's face contorted in pain upon hearing these words. The adventurer doesn't hesitate to stab Chrome straight in the chest with her sword. The adventurer recalls, "Something seems strange about you." She rushes at Chrome with a sword, "But for you to turn out to be a monster." The pierced Chrome explains, "I'm a werewolf," and the girl brands him a monster that attacks from behind. The adventurer screams in horror that he is much more insidious and dangerous than the previous monster. The townspeople are in a panic. "We're finished! Why aren't the evil dragons here?" The chrome monster turns its back on the armed townspeople, ready to attack. He thinks, bleeding, "It's okay, I did the right thing." His inner voice continues, "I didn't do this for some kind of reward, right?" The monster takes a step, deciding to leave this place. Chrome runs away, and the townspeople shout, "He's running away from the city! Thank God, he's scared of us!" Suddenly, a rock hits the chrome monster right in the head. The adventuress shouts to the townspeople, "Weaklings, don't provoke him." She decides, this is a monster that has learned to live among people. It must be killed before it escapes. Malo looks at the adventurer, saying, "Little sister." The girl asks anxiously, "Are you going to kill him?" The adventuress, after a moment's hesitation, replies, "This creature was a man-eating monster." Father tries to convince Malo. "He was a terrible monster all this time, understand?" Little thoughtfully says, "It's strange. Dad and everyone else." The girl continues, "Yes, he looks scary, but he fought the monster and protected the city, so..." Father Malo nervously objects. "It was just a coincidence." Malo, with tears in his eyes, claims that he looked at her as if checking if she was okay. The father and other townspeople listen to the girl's words with confusion and lowered heads. Suddenly, someone's hand stops the adventurer, grabbing her by the shoulder. This is Captain Elant, who sternly asks Mira what she is doing. Elant sternly reminds the girl that he ordered her to keep a low profile. Mira tries to justify herself, assuring that she had a good reason. The captain orders her to retreat to avoid attracting the attention of the evil dragons, but Mira points to the monster. Elant explains that the knight's approach to the Hole of Disaster will alert the dragons and interfere with their mission. The captain coldly reminds them that their main task is to act covertly. Mira, looking down, reluctantly agrees. "Yes, Elant-sama." Mira reports to Elant about the demon and the intelligent werewolf monster that appeared next. The image of Chrome the monster, hidden by darkness and a mask, comes to her mind. Captain Elant sternly asks why she engaged in combat with the demon, disobeying orders. Mira tries to justify herself by saving people, but Elant is adamant. Their mission is more important. He emphasizes that their task is to save the entire nation, and for this purpose they must avoid contact. Elant threatens to kill her if she gets in his way again. Mira, frightened, hastily apologizes to Captain Elant. The captain puts away his sword, sternly warning that such a thing should not happen again. The girl timidly asks about the fate of the intelligent monster, but Elant just waves her off. Mira freezes in horror when she hears that the captain doesn't care about the possible hundreds of casualties. Captain Elant reminds that this is an abandoned city, and the investigation into the dragons is not the main thing right now. He emphasizes that the most important thing is to investigate the case of the person involved in the invasion of monsters. Their goal is to verify information about the appearance of a certain red man. Elant looks sternly at Mira, ordering her not to forget about this. Mira, clenching her fist, reluctantly complies. "Yes, sir." Captain Elant's face expresses unwavering determination. Meanwhile, the chrome monster staggers through the deserted area. He reaches the Hole of Disaster, the source of Oddfield's suffering. Chrome realizes, now that they know my face, I won't be able to go back to Oddfield. But he clenches his fist, deciding, it doesn't matter. I'll still clear the Hole of Calamity. Chrome dreams of Oddfield being safe from monsters and evil dragons. He plans to level up, evolve, and return to the capital with renewed vigor. Meanwhile, Mira's father shouts after her, begging her not to act rashly. Mira decisively answers her father that she has already decided everything for herself. The girl rushes forward, not wanting to stand idle while evil advances. She thinks of the children and vows to protect Oddfield since the knights and dragons are inactive. Mira is determined to cleanse the Hole of Calamity and save the city, no matter the cost. Before her appears an ominous entrance to a dark cave, the Hole of Disaster. The chrome monster also stands at the entrance, realizing, so this is it, the Hole of Disaster. The image of the royal knights destroyed in this cursed place comes to his mind. The Chrome monster understands that he must act with extreme caution in the hole of disaster. He decides to move deeper slowly, gradually pumping up and restoring his strength. Chrome realizes his advantage. Monsters can be active in the dungeon much longer than people. The cave greets him with intricate passages, and he prepares for a long search for the boss. Chrome is faced with a choice of paths, and he ponders which one leads deeper. Chrome rubs his hands in indecision, contemplating his next move. Suddenly, his gaze falls on a sword stuck into the ground nearby. The monster's clawed hand carefully touches the hilt of a blade forgotten by someone. Chrome remembers that Rido's sword fell in that direction, showing the way. He raises his blade, deciding to trust the fallen knight's sword to guide him. The Chrome monster looks around warily in the dark cave, sensing danger. Suddenly, an unknown force knocks him off his feet, causing him to collapse to the ground. Chrome finds his legs entangled in a strong white thread and is puzzled. Looking closer, he realizes that it looks like a web, but incredibly thick. He tries to free himself, doubting the existence of such a giant spider. His worst fears are confirmed when huge hairy limbs appear before him. 2 giant demonic spiders block his path, their levels dangerously high. Chrome realizes that as soon as he thought about spiders, they immediately materialized. The spiders begin to make an ominous hissing sound, and a magic circle flares up in front of them. He desperately tries to dodge, but the sticky web holds him firmly in place. Chrome's legs are still tightly entangled in thick webbing, preventing him from moving. The spiders activate the magic circle, preparing the stone bullet spell. Rock projectiles are aimed straight at the immobilized Chrome monster. He tries to cover himself with his hands, but the stones hit his body with force. Chrome understands the spider's cunning plan. First immobilize, then attack from afar. However, his hand finds the hilt of the sword found earlier. Chrome decides that with this blade he can cut strong threads. One of the spiders immediately releases a new batch of sticky web. Fresh webbing hits Chrome's hand, and he thinks with irritation about their dirty tricks. Now Chrome's other hand is also entangled. He is in despair. Damn, they grabbed me from both sides? Chrome is completely covered in webbing, with 2 huge spiders hanging over him. The spiders hiss angrily, and new threads of sticky web stretch from their mouths. Chrome suddenly smirked. Wait, this might even help me. His hands are tightly bound, but he tenses his muscles, preparing to lunge. With a cry of, "Take it!" Chrome jerks his bound hands sharply. The spiders are puzzled, not understanding what their captive is up to. Chrome uses webbing as ropes, attracting spiders to each other. The heads of the giant spiders collide with a deafening crash. One of the spiders freezes in shock from the powerful blow. Chrome lets out a furious cry, seeing that his trick worked. Chrome grins maliciously, seeing the stunned spider's vulnerability. The sword clutched in his bound hands deals a crushing blow to the second giant. Both spiders are defeated, and Chrome receives a solid portion of experience for the victory. Notification confirms. Chrome has reached level 26, becoming even stronger. He is surprised that such strong monsters inhabit the initial levels of the Hole of Disaster. Chrome is thinking about a quick leveling up. 24 levels left until the next evolution. He hopes to evolve before meeting the boss, but doubts that success will be easy. The system explains, defeating stronger enemies significantly speeds up leveling. Chrome is looking forward to meeting higher-level monsters. With his sword at the ready, he peers cautiously around the corner, prepared for new dangers. Chrome notices a strange blue glow above him, foreshadowing a new threat. In the darkness before him, ominous green eyes gleam, emitting danger. A level 37 Great Demon Spider appears from the darkness. Its stats are frightening. Chrome swallows nervously, realizing that this opponent is beyond his capabilities. A giant spider paw comes crashing down from above, but Chrome manages to jump out of the way at the last moment. The monster's blow shakes the ground, raising clouds of dust and stones. Chrome, barely dodging, is amazed by the speed of the huge monster. He decides to flee immediately before the spider strikes again. Chrome realizes that this spider is stronger than the Gargoyle King, and fighting him means certain death. Now it becomes clear to him how easily the detachment of Royal Knights was destroyed. Chrome runs away in panic, realizing that the giant spider is relentlessly pursuing him. He doubts that such strong monsters are encountered often, and decides to try to escape. An idea comes to Chrome. If he turns into some narrow passage, the spider's huge body won't allow him to squeeze through after her. Chrome dives quickly into a narrow crevice between the rocks. As he squeezes through, he suddenly freezes when he hits an obstacle. In front of him is a wall of dense webbing, completely blocking the path. Chrome, in despair, realizes that there is no way out and suspects that the spider has lured him into a trap. A huge spider slowly and inexorably approaches a narrow passage. Chrome sees a giant pursuer peering into his hiding place, cutting off all escape routes. Chrome realizes with a dark grin, "So there's no way to escape, huh?" He remembers his plan for quickly leveling up against strong opponents. Without defeating such monsters, he will not be able to pass the Hole of Calamity. Chrome grips his sword resolutely. "Do or die, I will defeat him, no matter what it takes." A giant spider with 6 glowing eyes looms over him menacingly. The monster rushes forward, intending to crush Chrome. Chrome shields himself from the flying rock fragments caused by the spider's attack. One of the spider's sharp fangs begins to glow with an ominous purple energy. A bead of sweat runs down Chrome's mask as he watches the enemy tensely. Chrome barely dodges a powerful blow that leaves a smoking trail on the ground. Chrome notes, "Fast, but not so fast that I couldn't see his attacks." He suggests that because of its size, the spider cannot be very precise. Chrome knocks away the monster's paw, using it as a jumping support. He swings his sword, aiming straight at one of the giant's eyes. The blade plunges into the spider's eye, causing it to let out a piercing screech. Chrome sees that he was able to hurt the monster, and this inspires him. He notices that due to its massive body, the spider can barely move its neck. Chrome is confident. "I have the advantage in close combat. I can defeat him." A clot of ominous red energy begins to form in the spider's mouth. The monster fires Blood Thread, a powerful energy attack at Chrome. Chrome barely has time to react to the red thread flying at him, amazed at its speed. He instantly realizes that this is not just a web, but a deadly monster skill. Chrome decides to take cover behind a nearby rock to wait out the attack. The spider fires a powerful energy beam straight towards Chrome. A red stream of energy passes over Chrome's head, narrowly missing him. The blood thread strike crushes the rock that Chrome was hiding behind, demonstrating its monstrous power. Rock fragments fly in all directions, and Chrome can barely stay on his feet. Chrome realizes that this attack is deadly and that the spider cannot be allowed to use it again. He decides to engage the monster in close combat to deprive it of the ability to use ranged attacks. Chrome notices that the spider has a vulnerability before using the skill and plans to take advantage of it. Spider uses a new skill, Web, releasing it directly at Chrome. Chrome dodges sharply, barely avoiding the sticky threads. A huge glowing web appears in front of him, blocking his path. Chrome understands if the web touches him, the blood thread will finish him off. He realizes that careless approach to the monster is now mortally dangerous. Chrome finds himself cornered with the spider blocking all his paths. The monster prepares blood thread again, and Chrome doubts he can dodge it. Chrome complains about his tall height, which makes it difficult to dodge in cramped conditions. Suddenly, a sly grin appears on Chrome's face. An idea has struck him. He recalls his ability to transform. "Exactly, I can do that." Spider-Man once again prepares the deadly blood thread, aiming it at Chrome. Chrome mutters, "This is the 3rd time, but no matter." He has a plan. He activates the skill Masquerade, becoming enveloped in a turquoise glow. Chrome transforms into a smaller, more agile version of himself, easily evading attacks. The giant spider looks at his changed enemy in amazement. In his new form, Chrome rushes at the monster, shouting, "Take that!" His sword plunges straight into one of the giant's glowing eyes. The spider lets out a deafening screech. Chrome stands right on its head. Chrome, splattered with the monster's blood, declares, "It worked. I'll gouge out all your eyes." He aims his blade at the next eye, determined to blind the monster. Chrome raises his sword over the next eye, but the spider jerks sharply, trying to throw it off. Suddenly, one of the monster's fangs flashes purple light. "Oh no!" A sharp spike flies out from the fang, and Chrome barely deflects it with his sword, feeling a powerful blow. The force of the collision throws Chrome back and he tumbles off the spider's head. Upon landing, Chrome realizes, "If I only attack, I'll neglect defense." But he immediately adds, "However, I cannot afford to drag out the fight with this creature." The spider doesn't hesitate and releases sticky web at Chrome, aiming for his back. Chrome yelps in surprise as the sticky threads almost touch him. Webs wrap around Chrome's arms, restricting his movements and preventing him from attacking. "Oh no!" Chrome looks at his tied hands with alarm, realizing that he's trapped. Chrome tries to cut the web with his sword, but it turns out to be incredibly strong. The monster pulls him towards itself with force. Chrome screams in surprise. The hero is inexorably dragged straight into the monster's huge mouth. The spider's open mouth with sharp fangs is ready to close at any moment. Horror is reflected in Chrome's eyes. They're going to eat me now. But then the thought flashes, no, wait, this is a chance. Chrome understands that there is no time to waste. He must act decisively. With a furious cry, he cuts off his hand, which is entangled in the web. The severed limb, still entangled in threads, flies straight into the monster's mouth. The spider watches in bewilderment as, instead of Chrome, his own hand ends up in his mouth. Spider chokes on Chrome's severed arm, clearly not expecting such a treat. Chrome grins maliciously. Bad luck for you, you big spider bastard. The monster writhes as Chrome comments, My hand is a little naughty. Chrome's remaining arm transforms, becoming covered in scales and growing claws. With a mad gleam in his eyes, Chrome declares, Now it's time for you to die. His sword pierces with force straight into the giant spider's head. Chrome stands on the fallen monster, his blade driven into the hilt. System messages notify you of experience gain and level increase from 26 to 33. Chrome breathes out in relief as he looks at his defeated enemy. Ha, ha, ha. I won. His hand returns to normal, still clutching the hilt of the sword. Chrome ponders how he, a level 26, managed to defeat a level 37 spider, chalking it all up to luck. He considers the sudden jump of 7 levels a pleasant miscalculation, seeing his new stats. The hero with difficulty pulls his sword out of the head of the defeated giant spider. Chrome looks at his severed but still attached arm in disgust. His stone hand begins to crumble, revealing new flesh underneath. Chrome activates the regeneration skill, and his hand is enveloped in a healing glow. He sits down, realizing that he has taken a lot of damage and needs half a day to restore his mana. Chrome thinks it's ironic that he's safer in the dungeon and doesn't want anyone to find out about it. He decides to continue once his mana is fully restored. Having recovered, Chrome is already fighting 2 small one-eyed demons. Chrome marks the wall with his claws, counting the monsters he has killed. He stabs another owl monster with his sword. Chrome looks at the wall covered in marks and thinks. The hero realizes, Huh? Is this my 3rd attempt already? Chrome sits, thinking that at this rate he will be stuck here forever, but is glad for the experience he has gained. He checks his status. Level 37 mana and stamina are almost full. Chrome feels hungry and decides to snack on the demon spider again. The hero sits in the darkness, eating the remains of a spider from its own shell. He notes that the taste is disgusting, but it satisfies hunger well. Suddenly, Chrome hears footsteps and becomes alert. Chrome wonders what the sound is. Evil eye. No, Undress. Powerful and troublesome creatures. He continues to ponder. Or is this some new monster, or maybe human footsteps? The thought of meeting someone alone scares him because it seems impossible. Chrome quickly activates the masquerade skill, hiding his identity. Meanwhile, a girl peeks out from around the corner, noticing a sitting figure. A monster? She clutches a red magic stone in her hand. If it's a demon, you need to throw the stone and run. The girl swings decisively, preparing to use her artifact. The rock flies straight towards the camouflaged Chrome. Suddenly, the girl recognizes him and shouts out in shock, Chrome-san! Chrome, no less surprised, also recognizes her. Shelley? Shelley is puzzled as to how Chrome, at his level, got so deep. The girl shows the map, explaining, with the help of this. Chrome is shocked. Is this really the disaster map? The map describes in detail the tangled tunnels of the dungeon. The hero admits with surprise that he didn't even know about its existence. Shelley asks, confused, what Chrome-san is doing here. Chrome, now without his mask, replies that he came to level up and possibly fight the boss. He guesses Shelley's reasons, but considers her presence here reckless. Chrome, again wearing a mask, demands that she give him the map, assuring her that she will be able to get out using his marks. Shelley notices to herself that Chrome has become much colder since their last meeting. Shelley notices that Chrome, although rude, actually cares about her. She understands that he came to the abode of calamities alone and is trying to send her away for her own safety. The girl resolutely clenches her fist, not intending to retreat. Shelley firmly states, I'm sorry, I can't go back. She reminds Chrome that the abode of calamity destroyed an entire squad of knights, and he cannot cope alone. Chrome irritably replies that she will only get in the way and that she should leave. Shelley grabs his hand, begging, Chrome-san, please, let's conquer the abode of calamity together. Chrome tries to object, but the girl assures him that she won't be a hindrance. She explains that the people of Oddfield have studied the weak points of the local monsters to protect themselves. Shelley lists, Elchi seeds blind spiders, and Undras fear holy blue light. They have countermeasures. Shelley admits that she took money from the church and spent it all on preparations for the hike. Chrome, without his mask, realizes that this is why she was able to get so far. The girl confidently states that she even knows about the dungeon boss and will definitely be useful. Chrome realizes that she is determined and that he needs her information to carry out the cleanup. The system shows. The skill Masquerade allows Chrome to be human for 9 hours, spending mana. The hero reflects that her information and help are a much greater benefit than the cost of mana. Chrome, again wearing a mask, agrees to take Shelley with him, but on the condition that she not interfere. Shelley beams with joy and enthusiastically agrees to his condition. Meanwhile, the woman in black reports to someone about the knights looking for the red-haired man. The red-haired man asks in surprise if the knights are really looking for someone else. The woman in black reports that a lone adventurer has entered the abode of calamity. She smirks, calling the girl a desperate fool, incapable of doing anything on her own. The red-haired man sternly asks if she has dealt with this adventurer. The woman embarrassedly replies that she did not consider it necessary. The man, in a rage, grabs her by the throat, forcing her to choke. He angrily reminds us of his orders. Let no one into the abode of calamities. With the abode of calamity in the background, he explains that it could be a knight in disguise and all risks need to be eliminated. He orders her to immediately gather all the people, declaring that he himself will go to the abode. Suddenly, 3 huge, angry spiders appear in front of Chrome and Shelley. Chrome clicks his tongue, realizing that protecting Shelley and fighting so many creatures won't be easy. Shelley lunges forward with determination. Chrome is surprised by her boldness. Chrome shouts in panic, "Hey, Shelley!" not expecting such agility. Shelley announces that she will blind them with elchi seed powder. She jumps up and throws the bag of powder towards the spiders. The powder gets into the spider's eyes and it squeals in pain and surprise. Chrome notices that the spider's eyes have changed color, confirming the effect. The blinded spider begins to thrash around, crashing into the cave wall. Chrome realizes it looks like they really are as blind as bats, and prepares to attack. He deals a powerful blow to the blinded spider, gaining 78 experience points. Chrome and Shelley stand among the defeated spiders. His level increases to 38. Shelley breathes a sigh of relief, glad that everything went well. Chrome, having removed the mask, admits that he is surprised by the effectiveness of her method. Shelley, pointing deeper into the cave, says that the next left turn leads to the boss. Chrome, again in a mask, complains that it was a shame he didn't explore the city better, since such a map exists. He remembers wandering aimlessly through the dungeon for more than a day, getting lost in circles. Shelley explains that ordinary travelers would be unlikely to find this map, no matter how hard they tried. She proudly says that they sacrificed many lives to create the map and hide it from the evil dragons. Chrome, looking at the map, wonders how many people died to put even one branch on it. Shelley explains that the evil dragons only rule the city thanks to the abode of calamity, and the map would definitely be taken away from them. The girl, with determination in her eyes, declares that this card contains Oddfield's cherished wish, so it is difficult for outsiders to know about it. An unmasked Chrome reflects on the sacrifices made for the map and the hope of an entire city. Shelley smiles and admits that she trusted him and is ready to give him the card. Chrome suddenly calls Shelley's name, causing her to turn around in surprise. The hero resolutely declares that they will certainly clear the abode of calamity. Shelley is touched by his words, realizing that he is truly a kind man and not just a hunter for experience. Suddenly, in the darkness before them, a multitude of evil, glowing eyes flash. A creepy creature, half woman, half spider, descends from the ceiling on a web, catching Chrome off guard. The monster lets out a chilling laugh, revealing its razor-sharp claws. The monster's clawed paw rushes towards Chrome, who barely has time to react to the new threat. Chrome groans softly, sensing danger approaching or having already received a blow. Chrome realizes with horror, "What the hell? She's incredibly strong," as the monster's claws grip his sword. The hero is thrown back by a powerful blow. He barely maintains his balance. Shelley screams in panic, "Chrome-san!" as she sees him being thrown away. Arachne laughs maliciously. The system shows her high level, 42. Chrome was shocked. Level 42, so these are the creatures that live in the depths of the abode of calamity. Shelley explains with a tremor in her voice that this is the strongest monster in the dungeon after the boss. The girl shouts to Chrome that he needs to stay close. The monster attacks with a web from afar. Chrome decides, looks like close combat is the only way out, and prepares to charge. Shelley continues to give hints. The monster has poor visibility at its feet, especially on the right. There's a blind spot there. Chrome rushes forward, aiming for the blind spot as Arachne attacks with a purple energy blast. Chrome slashes his sword at Arachne's leg, causing her to yelp in pain. Shelley remembers that Arachne is vulnerable to fire and takes out the red stone. She throws a magic stone with fire runes at the monster. The stone explodes, engulfing Arachne in flames as she screams. Shelley explains that arachnids are distracted by fire, and their thin arms can be cut off. While the monster is distracted by the fire, Chrome jumps on her back. The hero swings his sword decisively, aiming at the monster's hand. Chrome cuts off one of Arachne's arms, causing her to go into another fit of rage and pain. Shelley admires Chrome and suggests wearing down the monster, preventing it from recovering. Arachne, having lost her arm, growls angrily, clearly preparing for a new attack. Arachne, defeated, lay lifelessly on the cave floor. Shelley breathes heavily, relieved that the battle is finally over. Chrome admits that victory was due to knowing the monster's weaknesses and gains 1280 experience points, increasing his level to 40. The hero is amazed at the incredible speed of his leveling up in this dungeon. Chrome checks his status, noting that he only has 10 levels left until his next evolution. He reflects on the path of his evolution, from a skeleton to a creature with flesh and blood capable of taking on human form. Chrome hopes that the next transformation will make him even closer to a human. However, now is not the time for such thoughts. He asks Shelley if the boss's lair is close. Shelley, checking the map, confirms that they are almost there. Before them appears the sinister silhouette of the devil monkey, Orabus, who has devoured countless knights. Shelley assures that the powerful monster has a vulnerability that Chrome can exploit. Chrome ponders darkly, hoping to defeat Orabus while retaining his human form. The girl suggests that Chrome take a little rest before meeting the main boss. With the map in hand, Shelley speaks of the nearness of Oddfield's salvation from the abode of calamity and dragons. Her eyes fill with tears. She believes that their nightmare will finally end. Meanwhile, a group of mysterious figures descend into the gaping abyss of the abode of calamity. The camera focuses on their identical boots, emphasizing their affiliation with the same organization. Suddenly, an enraged, bearded man appears, blaming his men for the adventurous' penetration. His henchmen fear that the girl's victory over the boss will deprive them of their refuge. The leader furiously declares that they will find her and play with her until she dies. The leader of the villains considers Shelley the hope of the city and plans to make an example of her in order to break the spirit of the slaves. The map points the way into the depths of the abode of calamities. The finger marks the key point. Shelley explains to Chrome that the deepest level leads directly to the lair of Orabus, the devil monkey. The ominous silhouette of Orabus, shrouded in darkness and flame, foreshadows a difficult battle. Chrome realizes that defeating the boss will free Oddfield, trapping the monsters in the labyrinth. The hero checks his status, he has enough mana, and the disguise does not consume too much of it. Chrome muses that he could send Shelley home, but remembers Orabus's countless victims. He decides that with Shelley, her knowledge and preparation, the chances of winning are much higher. Chrome turns to Shelley, beginning the sentence. I'd say you've taken me far enough, but... The hero looks at the girl and asks directly if she really is not going to back down. Shelley firmly states that she will not back down, because she has intel on Orabus from the survivors and a plan. The girl admits that her level is low, but she will be able to distract the boss by attacking blind spots and offers to fight together. Chrome understands that her decision is unshakable, and no amount of persuasion will make her turn back. In Shelley's mind, she sees her family believing that Chrome will cleanse the realm of calamity for them. She is adamant that she will not be a burden and is ready to sacrifice herself if necessary. Chrome and Shelley silently move deeper into the dark, gloomy tunnel. Suddenly, the heroes freeze, feeling someone's powerful presence above their heads. Looming over them is the giant, ominous silhouette of the devil monkey. Chrome, with an anticipatory grin and a drop of sweat on his face, says, "Here he is." Orabus appears before them in all his glory. The boss of the dungeon, level 52, rank C. Chrome, clutching his sword, states, "So here he is, Orabus." Shelley looks with hatred at the monster who is the cause of Oddfield's suffering. The hero studies the characteristics of the level 52 boss, noting his power. Chrome ponders Orabus's deadly claws and the countermeasures he has prepared. Shelley warns that they don't stand a chance against the incredibly fast Orabus in a frontal attack. The devil monkey jumps to show off his fury and sharp claws, which have killed many. Silhouettes of adventurers struck down by lightning-fast claws from a monster. Chrome doubts that such a strong enemy has any weaknesses, but Shelley smiles mysteriously. The girl points out the disproportion. Orabus's small feet are not designed for maneuvering. Shelley confidently states that by making the boss move in a zigzag pattern, they will slow him down. Chrome, following Shelley's advice, zigzags straight towards the monster. The hero deftly maneuvers around Orabus's huge paws, confusing him. The devil monkey lets out an enraged roar, clearly irritated by Chrome's tactics. Orabus turns awkwardly, trying to catch up with the swift hero. Chrome notes that the plan is working. The monster is chasing him, but its speed is still frightening. Despite the predicted clumsiness, Orabus quickly closes the distance. Orabus's giant clawed paw comes crashing down on Chrome, but he has a plan. Chrome recalls Shelley's words. Orabus is bad at changing the direction of his attack. By moving to the side, the hero gains time to dodge direct attacks. Chrome is focused, and an enraged Orabus lets out another battle cry. Chrome barely dodges the blow, realizing that one mistake and he will be seriously injured. The hero thanks fate for Shelley's information, looking at the looming Orabus. Without Shelley's data, Chrome muses, the monster would have torn him to pieces already. The devil monkey lets out a furious roar, raising its huge clawed paw. Chrome ducks, dodging a powerful horizontal strike from Orabus's claws. The monster's sharp claws dig into the ground, barely missing the dodging hero. Chrome sees his chance. Orabus's attack has created the opening he was waiting for. The hero rushes towards Orabus, aiming for the basis of his monstrous power. The diagram shows that Orabus' legs are his main, but also his greatest vulnerability. Chrome swings his sword with a battle cry, aiming straight at the monster's legs. Chrome's sword leaves a turquoise trail as it strikes Orabus's massive leg. Chrome's face is tense, and only a small scratch is visible on the monster's leg. The hero is shocked. Orabus' skin is incredibly strong, he barely scratched it. Shelley confidently states that Orabus is inherently unstable, and that the leg injuries will slow him down. Chrome sees that the monster is completely unperturbed after his attack. The hero understands that a much stronger blow is needed, and he grips the hilt of the sword tighter. Shelley yells at Orabus that he's not just fighting Chrome. The girl rushes into the attack, striking the monster's leg with her blade. The tip of her weapon creates a spark when it comes into contact with Orabus's leg. Shelley is shocked. The monster's fur feels like hard metal. Orabus lets out a deafening roar, enraged by Shelley's attack. The monster brings its clawed paw down on the girl with incredible speed. Shelley tries to block the blow, her blade flashing with turquoise light. Chrome watches in horror as the monster's attack reaches Shelley. The girl is thrown back by a powerful blow, her sword flying out of her hands. Shelley screams in panic, "Chrome-san!" Chrome, rising from the ground, reassures her, "I'm okay. I just got grazed." The hero activates the skill Regeneration. His hand is enveloped in healing light. The status shows that regeneration requires a lot of mana, which cannot be spent thoughtlessly. Chrome, leaning on his sword, decides that he needs to calm down. The damage he received was expected. Chrome rushes forward, realizing that Orabus must not catch up with him. The hero dodges, remembering Shelley's unused trump card. Shelley is determined, waiting for a new opportunity to attack. Chrome realizes the main problem is Orabus's incredible durability, which cannot be penetrated in human form. He remembers the last fight. The werewolf's claws would have been more effective, but now he and Shelley are fighting close. The hero understands that it will be extremely difficult to attack and hide at the same time. Chrome hesitates. Turning into a werewolf might scare Shelley and ruin their coordination. Orabus's massive claws loom, and Chrome realizes that without damage they are doomed. The hero clenches his fists, casting aside his doubts. There is no time to waste. Shelley looks at Chrome with concern, as if anticipating his decision and remembering the beginning of their journey. Chrome makes a decision, his silhouette growing in front of a worried Shelley. Orabus lets out a grinding roar, his red eyes blazing with fury. Shelley watches the scene with concern, her face showing worry. Chrome realizes that Shelley is too weak to escape Orabus, and he must act. The hero rushes at the monster again, his sword leaving a turquoise trail. Orabus ignores Chrome, his attention completely focused on Shelley. Chrome shouts furiously, swinging his sword, "Your opponent is here!" His blade slams down on Orabus's back, flaring with energy. The monster roared at the unexpected attack, its face distorted with anger. Chrome deftly dodges the counterattack, his sword arcing through the air. The tail attack did no damage, but it did attract the monster's attention, just as Shelley had said. Chrome decides to run in circles again, changing directions to confuse Orabus. The hero weaves, evading the enraged monster pursuing him. Chrome understands that Orabus has become accustomed to his tactics and no longer leaves gaps. The monster makes a grinding sound, its red eyes glowing with malice. Orabus prepares to use Devil's Poison Breath by gathering dark energy. The hero in horror is the poisonous breath of Orabus, which will cover everything with a poisonous fog. Chrome speculates that the monster was angry due to his constant dodging. Orabus' poisonous breath covers a huge area, making combat nearly impossible. But Chrome remembers, this skill has a critical flaw that Shelley talked about. Shelley swings her arm resolutely, preparing to throw the bag containing unknown contents. The pouch flies straight towards Orabus as Chrome and Shelley watch. Orabus watches in fury as Shelley's projectile approaches his face. The bag explodes, enveloping everything in golden dust. The monster is stunned, his red eyes wide in surprise. Shelley yells at Chrome to duck and hold his breath, who is already covering his face. Orabus begins to cough, green vapors escaping from his mouth. The monster bends over, making painful sounds, clearly suffering from the powder. Shelley explains that it is a poisonous mushroom powder that can disable the monster. Blinded and coughing, Orabus is the perfect moment for a decisive attack. Shelley yells at Chrome that she is using the spellstone and asks him to move away. Chrome, covering his face, watches her actions with alarm. The girl throws a glowing stone on the ground, which emits a beam of light. Orabus, still coughing, notices the bait, his tail twitching. The explanation reads, Orabus's tail is capable of sensing the warmth of living beings. However, this ability has a flaw. The tail reacts to any similar heat source. The monster's tail, trembling with rage, inevitably reaches for the trap. The tip of Orabus's tail hisses as it points at the thrown stone. Orabus lets out a furious, grinding roar, his red eyes glowing. Shelley is sure that from the monster's point of view, a defenseless creature approached him. Orabus's tail hits the stone, and the monster howls in increasing pain. On the monster's paw, there is a new pulsating wound from the magic stone. Shelley swings her sword resolutely, aiming at the already damaged area. The girl lunges forward, her blade leaving a golden trail as it heads towards Orabus's leg. Chrome realizes that Shelley's sword is not enough to cut off the monster's paw. The hero decides to use the werewolf's fangs. This is less noticeable than the claws. A masked Chrome quickly rushes towards Orabus's wounded leg. His sharp fangs sink into the monster's flesh, deepening the wound. The hero furiously bites into Orabus's leg, trying to inflict maximum damage. Orabus lets out a deafening roar of pain, his red eyes glowing with rage. Chrome pulls back, the monster's blood on his fangs, his eyes full of wild determination. The huge Orabus falls heavily to the ground. Chrome and Shelley prepare for the next action. Shelley smiles with relief. We did it! We took away his main advantage, agility. Chrome, looking at the defeated monster, admits that without Shelley's tactics, they wouldn't have managed. The hero remembers how they neutralized Orabus's powerful breath. Then they deprived him of his 5 senses and now his mobility. The monster looks furiously. Shelley swings her sword again with determination, her gaze focused on her target. Chrome grips the hilt of his blade, knowing that all that remains is to deliver the final blow. Both heroes simultaneously rush at Orabus, who tries with all his might to swat away his tail. Chrome is sure that no matter how strong the monster is, their continuous attacks will finish it off. Chrome's red eye widens in sudden realization. The hero notices that Orabus's wound is shrouded in an ominous purple glow. Chrome is horrified. The monster is regenerating right before our eyes. Orabus rises, and Chrome understands that he must act immediately, otherwise all his trump cards will be lost. A sudden beam of energy almost hits the hero, and his mask slips off in surprise. Chrome, adjusting his mask, parries the monster's attack with his sword. The hero's blade appears right in front of Orabus's furious face. The monster roars and swings a huge clawed fist, glowing with energy. Orabus's powerful blow lands on Chrome, who tries to defend himself. Shelley screams out Chrome's name in alarm, seeing him in danger. Chrome struggles to get up, not believing that the almost dead monster is so strong. Orabus looms before him, and Chrome understands that he cannot retreat. It is now or never. His red eye under the mask sparkles with determination. Defeat is unacceptable. A vision of the past flashes. Oddfield will fall if they lose to the monster. Chrome grips his sword tighter, remembering why he fights against such disasters. He became an adventurer precisely for moments like these to protect others. The masked hero launches a desperate attack on Orabus as Shelley watches. Shelley looks at Chrome with surprise and concern, surrounded by a golden glow. Orabus lets out a furious roar, swinging his clawed paw at the daredevil. Chrome plunges his blade right into the monster's chest, causing dark blood to spurt out. Shelley watches the outcome of Chrome's attack with bated breath. Chrome stands with his back to him, his sword still in his hand, Orabus lying prostrate at his feet. The hero breathes heavily, hardly believing, could it be that we won? System messages pop up. Chrome has gained a lot of experience and has risen 7 levels. Pulling back his mask, Chrome smiles. This is indeed the end of the battle. Shelley is shocked to realize that they have defeated the Disaster Pit boss. Orabus's huge body lies motionless on the ground. The battle is over. Shelley falls to her knees, overcome with emotion and fatigue. Tears of joy stream down her face. Now Oddfield will be saved. Chrome, a little embarrassed by her tears, tries to calm her down. Shelley covers her face with her hand, apologizing for the tears that welled up after realizing her victory. The girl admits that she thought she would die, but thoughts about the church residents did not allow her to give up. The priest and the children come to mind. A terrible fate would have awaited them too. Chrome seriously replies that without her, Orabus would have killed him before the fight even began. Shelley is touched by his words as Chrome sincerely thanks her for her help. The hero is confident that now that the pit of disaster has been cleared, the kingdom will send knights. Chrome's hand is enveloped in a glow. The regeneration skill is activated. Chrome looks at the system window in surprise. He completely forgot to check the mana. The masked hero is nervous. Running out of mana at such a moment will ruin everything. He only has a little MP left, but Chrome hopes it's enough to get away undetected. Chrome is thinking about his evolution. There are only 3 levels left until the next step. He dreams that evolution will bring him closer to human form, reflecting his innermost desires. Shelley asks, confused, what Chrome is doing when she finds him in a strange position. Chrome waves it off, saying he's just happy to level up and is interested in how Shelley is doing. Shelley smiles as she reports that she started at level 19 and has reached a whopping 9. The system window shows that Shelley Schultz is now level 28, thinking about how surprised Guido and Frank will be. Shelley sheepishly apologizes, feeling that she didn't do much in the fight, but gained a lot of Chrome's experience. Chrome, removing his mask, assures her that she has fought more than enough to deserve this experience. Shelley, putting her hands to her cheeks, admits that perhaps she relaxed too much. The girl decisively declares that defeating the boss does not mean that all the monsters have disappeared. They still have a way to go back. Shelley enthusiastically suggests going to the capital and reporting on the evil dragons. Chrome, adjusting his mask, admits to being tired, considering it natural. An exhausted Chrome sits down, hoping he has enough mana for masquerade. Shelley suggests they rest. Shelley smiles and agrees to the offer to take a little rest before collecting trophies. Suddenly, Shelley's eyes widen in horror, sensing something is wrong. The girl suddenly stretches out her hand, desperately shouting out Chrome's name. Chrome turns around in confusion, asking what happened. A powerful blast of fire hits the spot where Shelley had just been. Shelley finds herself on the ground, struck down by the sudden attack. Chrome looks at the fallen Shelley in horror, not believing his eyes. 2 people emerge from the darkness, a woman in black and a man with a sword, discussing the failed attack. Chrome holds an injured Shelley in his arms, who asks with difficulty, "Why?" A crowd appears behind the villains. Shelley is horrified. "Why are there so many evil dragons here?" One of the dragons admits that he simply had a bad feeling. Their leader appears, a huge warrior with an axe, surprised by the victory over Orabus. Shelley's face contorts in horror as she recognizes him. It's the boss of the evil dragons, Galrod. Chrome is shocked by Galrod's size, wondering if he is even human. The other dragon grins angrily, remembering the impudent boy who challenged him in the city. He shouts furiously at Chrome that today he will die a painful death as promised. Chrome defiantly declares to the belated enemies that Orabus has already been defeated and their power has come to an end. Shelley bluffs desperately, threatening the dragons with the imminent arrival of the knights after defeating Orabus. The black-cloaked villain merely smirks, pointing out that Chrome and Shelley are on death's door themselves. He continues to mock, stating that Galrod alone could have defeated Orabus. Galrod looks at the heroes grimly, his appearance confirming his minion's words. Shelley screams in horror that this is a lie, because the victory over Orabus cost so many victims. The cloaked dragon objects, claiming that it was they, not Orabus, who destroyed the knightly order. He reveals their cunning plan, a fake map and an ambush on the knights while they were fighting monsters. The dragons laugh maliciously, and one of them, with a disgusting grin, boasts of his cruel mockery of female knights. Chrome, hearing this, becomes furious, his face distorted with anger. He calls them scoundrels. Galrod scornfully announces that they have no intention of leaving Oddfield, dashing any hopes. Galrod announces that no one will know about the cleanup of the Gap, and they will continue to rule the city as before. They will release monsters and fake deaths so that no one will suspect deception. Galrod grins angrily. The heroes only forced them to kill a few more slaves, and their deaths will be in vain. Shelley whispers in horror. It can't be, realizing the enormity of their plan. The dragon leader gives a short order to his men. Boys, finish them off. Galrod's henchman, with a sadistic grin, orders Chrome to be quartered and Shelley to be played with before both are fed to the monsters. Chrome's face is distorted by a grimace of rage, his red eyes burning with an inhuman fire. Galrod hisses with hatred that these vile larvae dared to invade his territory. A crowd of villains rushes towards the heroes. Their leader promises a reward to anyone who defeats them. Chrome looks at the exhausted Shelley with concern. She definitely doesn't have enough strength to fight. Chrome understands that his own strength is also running out. There is almost no mana or health left. The villain's words echo in his head. They are guilty of the knight's deaths and could have defeated the boss themselves. Looking at Galrod, Chrome realized with horror that their boasts were probably true. Shelley, kneeling, tearfully apologizes to Chrome, blaming herself for what happened. The girl laments that she took advantage of his kindness and dragged him into this hopeless battle. Chrome's eyes flash with determination, and he clenches his fist, not intending to give up. He remembers how he didn't give up even when he found out his skill was trash. Chrome thinks about his journey from a pile of bones to a temporary human form. He has already overcome the impossible. The current situation is just another attack by bandits, albeit stronger ones. Chrome had already died once, and now there was no reason to give up again. Shelley looks at Chrome with tears in her eyes, whispering his name. Chrome apologizes to Shelley, admitting that she took the hit due to his carelessness. The guy stands up decisively, declaring that it is now his turn to protect her. One of the dragons grins and charges forward, promising to chop Chrome into pieces. Chrome crosses swords with his opponent, deflecting his furious attack. The villain mockingly remarks that Chrome is barely able to stand on his feet and prepares to strike. A powerful blow falls on Chrome, blood splatters. Shelley watches in despair, fearing that Chrome will not survive. The dragon woman gloats that she can easily deal with both of them in their current state. With a mad grin, she promises to deal with the children in the church after their death. The dragoness gloats, blaming the heroes for their misfortunes because they crossed the path of the evil dragons. She mockingly offers to spare the old man in the church until he breaks down from despair. Shelley, defeated, whispers apologies to her father and everyone else. Suddenly, a terrible memory appears before Chrome's eyes. He, with a hammer in his hand, swings at a defenseless girl. Coming to his senses, Chrome rushes at the dragoness, catching her off guard with his unexpected attack. Two dragon archers grin as they draw their bowstrings, aiming at Chrome. Several arrows pierce Chrome's body, piercing him through and through. The dragoness approaches the wounded Chrome, reminding him that he must be fed to the monsters alive. With a sadistic smile, she announces that she will start with his left hand. The dragon woman grips her sword tightly, preparing to cut off Chrome's limb. A sudden flash interrupts the dragoness's attack, the sword colliding with something incredibly hard. Chrome's clawed, monstrous hand intercepts the blade of the dragoness's sword. The dragoness looks at the barrier in amazement, not believing her eyes. She screams in rage, not understanding where Chrome got such strength from and why his hand is harder than steel. Chrome delivers a crushing blow with his monstrous hand right into the face of the stunned dragoness. The villainess flies back, amazed at how much strength the wounded boy still has left. Shelley watches with alarm, not understanding where Chrome got such monstrous power instead of healing. Chrome rips the arrows out of his body, and his changed hand gives Shelley a bad feeling. Galrod grins maliciously, finding the unexpected turn of events quite amusing. Bloody arrows fall to the ground at the feet of Chrome, ready to continue the fight. Shelley recalls with a smile that she immediately realized that Chrome was not a bad guy. Chrome thanks Shelley. Thanks to her, he found the courage to leave the dungeon. He remembers how she wasn't scared and ran after him when they met again. Chrome is tormented by the thought, will Shelley be angry when she learns his true, monstrous appearance? But now, looking at the enemies, he understands that this is not the time for fear. Chrome looks at the dragoness defiantly, his clawed hand ready for battle. Galrod realizes that Chrome had an ace up his sleeve and the situation has changed. The dragon leader, in a rage, attacks Chrome, promising to send him to hell. Chrome, touching the mask, grimly declares that he will take the enemy with him. He tears off his mask, releasing hidden power with the words, "Masquerade, removal." Galrod, screaming, "Die!" rushes at Chrome, raising his sword to strike. Chrome, in his monstrous form, pierces Galrod with his claws. Blood spurts. The Dragon Lord is defeated, and Chrome receives 567 experience points. Shelley looks at Chrome in horror, not believing that he has turned into a monster. The Dragoness is stunned, not understanding what this power is and where Chrome got it from. Chrome reflects that killing a man seemed natural to him. He assumes that it is because his life is threatened, or... Chrome comes to the conclusion that he simply became a monster. The remaining dragons scream in panic that this monster cannot be taken alive and call for it to be killed. Shelley looks at the transformed Chrome with alarm and confusion, whispering his name. Chrome mentally apologizes to Shelley for his deception. He promises to stop the enemies, even if Shelley was wrong about him. In his monstrous form, but with a mask, Chrome prepares for battle. 3 dragon archers aim their bows straight at him. The archers shout that he is almost dead and order them to finish him off. Arrows hit Chrome, but he continues to move forward. One of the archers shouts in panic that Chrome is too strong and the arrows are useless. The dragon archer decides they have no choice but to use the sword. Chrome realizes that regeneration has given him a chance, but a direct blow from the sword will be fatal for him. He sees that many enemies, including the dragoness, are back on their feet, and he cannot take damage. Chrome realizes that even though he is stronger, he is still in big trouble. Suddenly it dawns on him that with such strength he can try something. One of the dragons, with a club, furiously rushes at the damned monster. Chrome understands that his enemies are afraid of the unknown, and this is his advantage. Chrome's monstrous arm easily blocks the club's blow. While Chrome is busy with one thing, another dragon with a sword comes from behind, aiming at the gap. Many blows fall on Chrome, but he stands firm. The dragon with the sword cries out in surprise, not believing that Chrome survived. With a lightning-fast movement, Chrome knocks the sword out of the hands of the stunned enemy. With one blow, Chrome sends the dragon flying, blood splattering. A masked Chrome swings a club at the dragon, who retreats in horror. A powerful blow from Chrome's monstrous hand knocks out another dragon. Another enemy is defeated, and Chrome gets a solid dose of experience. Chrome's level increases, and his bloody hand terrifies the remaining dragons. Chrome's mask and the dragon's fear-contorted face reflect the tension of the moment. The remaining dragons scream in panic, not understanding where the monster got such sudden strength from. The dragoness notes with alarm that her warriors are frightened and losing their fighting spirit. The enemies look at Chrome, standing among the fallen, and the dragoness whispers, "This monster!" She understands that Chrome is no longer defending himself. He intends to destroy as many enemies as possible. The dragoness realizes the seriousness of the situation, her face distorted with genuine fear. The dragoness decides that a small fry can't cope. It's time for more experienced warriors to intervene. Shelley sees a new wave of enemies and knows she must act quickly to stop them. A masked Chrome parries a sword strike from one of the attacking dragons. His monstrous arm blocks the powerful swing of another warrior's axe. Chrome finds himself surrounded as the defeated dragon reaches out helplessly. One of the archers is furious. He cannot shoot for fear of hitting his own. Chrome sees 2 warriors with a club and an axe rushing straight at him. The enemies can't believe what's happening, looking at Chrome's creepy mask. The archer realizes that the monster is smart and is deliberately maneuvering, making it difficult to aim. Chrome notes to himself that these 2 are noticeably stronger than the previous group. Chrome notices that the mages are now targeting him as well. He feels that his strength is running out and he cannot defeat all his enemies. But Chrome doesn't give up. He has a new plan. With a lightning strike, he knocks out one of the mages, gaining experience. Suddenly, another dragon stabs Chrome in the side with his sword, screaming about his vulnerability. The attacker is confident that just a little more, and the monster will be defeated. However, Chrome, ignoring the wound, grabs the enemy with his monstrous hand. Chrome's claws dig into the dragon's back, leaving bloody marks. In one move, Chrome throws the wounded enemy away. The female magician recoils in horror, not believing her eyes. The witch shouts at the magician, "Idiot, don't you dare hesitate!" In response, he prepares a fireball, intending to knock Chrome down with a powerful blow. Chrome, using the wounded dragon as a shield, shouts at the mage, "Don't shoot!" But the magician is already releasing a destructive flame straight at Chrome and his living shield. A powerful explosion of fire envelops Chrome and the unfortunate dragon. The mage smirked smugly at the result of his attack. His face is distorted by a malicious grin. He is confident of victory. The dragon, used as a shield, burns alive while Chrome's hand is visible above the flames. Chrome, pierced by a sword, emerges from the fire, gaining experience in a new level. The mage watches in horror as Chrome emerges from the flames unharmed. He's still alive. The magician is horrified. He had planned to attack Chrome before he got there. Chrome, despite the sword at his side, quickly rushes at the stunned mage. With one blow, Chrome defeats the mage, receiving another portion of experience. Chrome's monstrous hand reaches out to the next enemy lying on the ground. Galrod, a mighty dragon, decides that by killing Chrome, he will force the others to retreat. The dragoness screams Galrod's name in panic, seeing his determination. Galrod realizes that the rumors about the power of Chrome, who defeated Orabus, were not a bluff. Looking at Chrome, Galrod doubts whether he can defeat the odd-field monster with his remaining strength. Galrod admits, looking at the creepy mask, "And you are a real monster." Shrouded in a red aura, Galrod issues a challenge. "Let's see who among us is the true monster." Galrod acknowledges Chrome as a true monster, preparing for the final confrontation. With a furious roar, Galrod swings his massive axe with all his strength. Chrome dodges at the last moment, Galrod's axe leaving a mark on the ground. The blade of the axe flashes in front of Chrome's face, and he senses a mortal threat. Galrod brings down his axe with a battle cry, but Chrome manages to jump back. Chrome, in his mask, thinks, "Just a little more and my head would have flown off." Chrome sees that Galrod is level 50, significantly superior to him, and has no allies. Chrome understands that something urgently needs to be done to turn the tide of the battle. Chrome decides that if Galrod is deprived of his axe, the range advantage will disappear. Chrome is confident that without an axe, thanks to his claws, he will be able to gain the upper hand. Chrome spends the last bits of mana on regeneration. His left arm is fully healed, ready for battle. Galrod mocks, "What, monster? You're not that strong." Chrome blocks a powerful axe blow with his restored hand. Galrod is stunned. His attack was stopped by a bare hand. Chrome sees this as his chance, his mask bared. Galrod tenses, sensing the threat emanating from Chrome. Galrod barely dodges Chrome's attack. "Whew, that almost hit me." Chrome knocks the axe out of Galrod's hands with a powerful blow. The weapon flies away, and Chrome strikes back at the dragon's chest. Galrod frowns. "So he was just pretending to aim at me?" Chrome feels that his strength is almost gone. He is running out of breath. Chrome understands. He can't give Galrod time to come to his senses or wait for reinforcements. He needs to finish him off now. Suddenly, Galrod activates the skill Purple Crystallization. His hands become covered in crystals. With crystal-empowered hands, Galrod delivers a crushing blow to Chrome. The powerful blow sends Chrome flying backwards, sending him rolling along the ground. Galrod explains that his new skill creates armor from the strongest crystals. The dragon looks mockingly at Chrome. "Well, how do you like that?" Chrome, getting up, boldly replies, "It's a pity, but even without a weapon, I'm still stronger than you." Looking at Galrod's crystal armor, Chrome mutters, "What the hell? This is cheating." Chrome is puzzled. How can he penetrate Galrod's crystalline armor? Galrod looks down at Chrome, who is sprawled on the ground. The dragon gloats, confident that his new power will intimidate Chrome, and is plunged into dark memories. Flashback, a violent man swings a broken bottle at his mother while shouting curses. Galrod's mother, trembling, points to the fresh wounds left by the tyrant. In response to her words, the man only threatens to kill her more furiously. He then pounces on little Galrod, demanding that he bring him money. A merciless hand squeezes the boy's throat as he hears screams of his worthlessness. Galrod remembers the chilling fear that his father would kill him right there. The boy desperately clings to life, realizing that the tyrant threatens both of them, him and his mother. Galrod recalls that on the day he thought he was going to die, he was overcome with rage. It was then that he first activated his crystallization skill. The boy, with a bloody face and a crystal hand, screams to his mother that they have nothing to fear anymore. However, the mother rushes in horror to her fallen husband, sobbing over his body. Young Galrod, with crystal hands, silently watches his mother's grief. With tears in her eyes, she looks at her son and calls him a monster. The boy's face distorts with shock and confusion upon hearing his mother's words. From that day on, his bloody crystal hand became his curse. Thus, Galrod became the odd-field monster, standing over the bodies of his parents. The flashback ends, and we see Chrome lying on the ground, almost out of strength and mana. Chrome realizes that no skill can save him anymore. Is this really the end? Suddenly, Chrome's mask seems to come to life. An idea dawns on him. Galrod slowly approaches the fallen Chrome, a sword lying nearby. Chrome reaches for the sword, realizing that there is still a chance. There is a way out. Galrod swings his crystal hand, preparing to deliver the finishing blow. Chrome rolls to the side at the last moment, dodging the attack and grabbing the sword. After dodging, Chrome finds himself with his sword in hand, ready for another attack. His fingers grip tightly around the hilt of a simple but now vital blade. Armed, Chrome assumes a fighting stance, challenging Galrod once again. Galrod smirks. "You're already 1 foot in the grave, monster. What good will that sword do you?" Chrome clutches his sword, his mask smiling ominously in anticipation. Meanwhile, Galrod's henchman smirks smugly, confident in his boss's victory. He encourages Galrod by shouting, "Boss, kill him now!" Chrome lunges forward, swinging his sword in what appears to be a desperate attack. Galrod easily parries the blow with his crystal hand. "You can't even aim anymore, can you?" Chrome replies through his mask. "But Galrod, I wasn't aiming at you." Suddenly, Chrome's sword pierces the chest of Galrod's stunned henchman. The wounded henchman looks at Chrome in confusion. "Bastard! Why, me?" The henchman falls dead, and Chrome gains experience and increases his level to 50. Galrod looks at the incident with confusion. Was this just an act of desperation? Galrod looks at his fallen henchman, not understanding why Chrome did this. Suddenly, Chrome receives a notification. His flip skill has reached its maximum, the evolution condition has been met. Chrome reflects. The evolution of the monster brings it closer to the ideal form, but now is not the time for humanity. He remembers Galrod and understands that he needs to defeat him to save Shelley. The image of Shelley gives him strength because he must save Oddfield, and for this he needs power. Chrome is ready to take any form, even the most monstrous, just to gain strength. A blue aura envelops his body, foreshadowing a frightening transformation. The shadow of Chrome, now more monstrous, looms over Galrod. Galrod is confused as he senses a strange, growing mana. What now? What is this mana? A bright flash envelops Chrome, his silhouette radiating power. Clawed paws emerge from the blue aura as Chrome transforms. Galrod is confronted by Doppelganger, a new, terrifying form of Chrome. The system explains, the Doppelganger frightens with illusions, steals appearance and mind, its true form is unknown. Chrome's stats have been updated to become a level 50, B-rank Doppelganger with new skills, Regeneration, Phantom of the Masquerade, and Dream Eater. Galrod is furious and confused. He evolved right now? The dragon charges forward, shouting, "It doesn't matter, the fun's over, die!" Chrome's monstrous arms easily stop Galrod's crystal fist. Horrible eyes open on Chrome's palms, his grip becoming steely. Chrome activates Dream Eater, aiming it straight at the stunned Galrod. Galrod recoils, his body pierced by an unknown pain. Ka! Galrod is distraught, feeling his strength draining away and his mind filled with anxiety. Chrome activates Regeneration, replenishing the health and mana stolen from Galrod. Smiling through his mask, Chrome explains, Dream Eater steals mana, and Regeneration heals. Four-armed Chrome looms over Galrod, ready to fight forever. Galrod is furious and realizes that there is no more jokes with this monster. He needs to act decisively. Galrod's remaining minions panic and shout at him to kill Chrome immediately. The young archer, having recovered from the shock, draws his bowstring ready to attack. The girl magician begins to cast a spell, and a magic circle flares up under her feet. Chrome covers his face with his hands, calmly stating, "It's no use." The eye on Chrome's hand glows an ominous purple light, heralding a new attack. Chrome activates the Phantom skill, which can control illusions. The stronger the fear, the more powerful the effect. The archer's arrow and the mage's fireball hit Chrome at the same time. The girl magician shouts in delight, "I did it! I killed him!" But Chrome stands unharmed, pulling out the arrow and the wound instantly heals. The girl mage's eyes widen in horror, seeing that her attack had no effect. Suddenly, Galrod is stabbed in the back. He is attacked by his own minions. The girl magician looks at her hands in shock, not understanding how this happened. Galrod yells at his subordinates in a rage. "What the hell are you doing? Who are you aiming at?" Chrome chuckles, explaining, "Phantom of the Masquerade makes them see what they fear most." Chrome's clawed paw reaches out ominously towards the stunned Galrod. Chrome delivers a crushing blow, causing Galrod to stagger. A pleased Chrome notes that he has regained his strength and neutralized the minions. With his eyes blazing, Chrome declares to Galrod, "This is your end!" Galrod growls in rage. "Don't you dare look down on me! I am Oddfield's monster!" Galrod's crystal fist slams into Doppelganger's body with force. However, Chrome easily blocks the attack, his hand glowing with an ominous light. Galrod suspects that the strange light is some kind of illusory skill. He decides that he can withstand the mental attack if he gathers his courage. Chrome activates Phantom again, his 4 arms with eyes creating a powerful aura. Galrod tensely awaits his next trick, knowing that Chrome is unpredictable. Galrod's eyes widen in horror as Chrome's illusion takes effect. A bloody ghost of his father appears before him, tormenting his mind with the question, "Is this my father?" The ghost of his father accuses Galrod, "How dare you kill me?" Galrod tries to hide his fear with a laugh. "Ha ha ha. Back from hell, huh?" He clenches his crystal fist, denying his past weakness. "I'm not that brat anymore." Galrod furiously attacks the illusion, shouting, "I'll send you back where you came from." Having destroyed his father's ghost, Galrod confidently declares, "Even if you play with me, no one can defeat me." Chrome grins evilly as he watches Galrod's torment. A new wave of horror washes over Galrod, his eye twitching with tension. Now the image of his dead mother appears before him, awakening an even deeper trauma. Galrod clutches his head in confusion, not understanding what the hell is going on. He finds himself in a distorted space, looking around in confusion. A younger version of himself appears before him, screaming that little tricks won't defeat him. The ghost father turns to Galrod, asking how he dared raise his hand against him. The shadow of his father threatens young Galrod with terrible punishment for his insolence. The boy is horrified to realize that he does not feel his strength and cannot use his skills. The approaching silhouette of his father makes young Galrod beg for mercy in fear. An adult Galrod, caught in an illusion, desperately screams, "Stay away from me!" The nightmarish vision becomes reality as dark claws tear through Galrod's chest. Galrod's face contorts in unbearable pain under the onslaught of the brutal attack. Chrome gains experience, leveling up to 51, and declares victory over the evil dragon boss. He feels the incredible power of his 3rd evolution, Doppelganger. Chrome remembers how Dream Eater steals mana and memories, and Phantom manipulates fears. A sinister smile appears on Chrome's face. He is ready to take action. The girl mage screams out the name of the defeated Galrod in horror. The minions panic and realize that Chrome has defeated both Orabus and their leader, and they are finished. Chrome, surrounded by a glow, quickly rushes at the remaining enemies. The terrified minions scream, begging Chrome to stay away from them. One of the cultists, in horror, tries to escape from the inexorably approaching Chrome. Chrome sums it up. Orabus, the source of the disaster, has been defeated. The evil dragon boss is dead, as are many of his followers. Chrome watches his fleeing minions, realizing that without a leader, they won't be able to pull off their old trick. He thinks about Oddfield being saved, where the children can now live in peace. Chrome turns to the mage girl, who is frozen in horror on the ground. Her eyes are full of fear and misunderstanding. Steam comes out of her mouth from excitement. Chrome thinks about Shelley, realizing her shock. Her companion turned out to be a monster. He stands with his back to her, his true frightening appearance leaving no doubt. Chrome admits that it must have been quite a shock to her, but believes that it was necessary. He remembers that he has already been seen in the city in the guise of a monster, and decides that he cannot stay. Chrome is sure that if Shelley heard the rumors, she wouldn't believe him, and might stalk him again. So, he concludes, it was better for her to see it with her own eyes, wasn't it? Chrome muses that perhaps he no longer has a place in civilization, let alone Oddfield. He admits that he is a monster, and that pretending to be human will no longer work even for his sister and friends. Chrome decides that he won't pretend to be a tragic hero. After all, he was able to save an entire city. Shelley's face contorts with worry, a bead of sweat running down her cheek. The girl magician rises to her feet with difficulty but decisively. Chrome turns around in surprise, noticing Shelley's movement. Suddenly, Shelley rushes forward and hugs Chrome's monstrous form. Chrome is stunned by her action, not understanding what is happening. Shelley apologizes, admitting that she is completely confused and doesn't know what to think. She explains that Chrome looked so lonely that she just had to hug him. Chrome's monstrous form froze, his toothy mouth slightly open. Shelley admits that she is scared. Her heart is pounding, and she doesn't understand anything. However, her fist clenches resolutely, showing inner strength. The girl firmly declares to Chrome, "I know that you are a good person. I am sure of it." Chrome, towering over her in his true form, says her name. Shelley. Shelley realizes why he came alone, and was always afraid of being seen. She understands that by hiding the fact that he is a monster, Chrome could not communicate carefree with people. And yet, Shelley recalls, he went with her into the dungeon to save the city, exclaiming, "You saved Oddfield, Chrome-san." Shelley promises to do everything so that he can stay in the city. because he looks so lonely. With unwavering determination, she vows, "And if I can't, I will always be by your side." Shelley declares decisively, from this moment on, her eyes full of fire. Chrome's clawed paw gently touches her head, and the girl closes her eyes. Shelley admits that she feels dizzy from screaming and leans on Chrome. She apologizes, saying she's just a little tired and her eyelids are feeling heavy. Chrome realizes that she is not only wounded, but also completely exhausted, and Shelley falls asleep in his arms. He is amazed. Despite everything, she got up to tell him these words. "Thanks, Shelley," Chrome thinks, but then wonders if she'd be better off without him. He remembers her pure smile, fearing that his presence will only bring her trouble. Chrome's palm flares with a mysterious blue glow. He realizes that the Dream Eater can not only see, but also change other people's memories. Chrome decides he can erase himself from Shelley's memories. Her words come back, "You looked so lonely just now." The face of the Chrome monster is distorted by a barely noticeable sinister smile. Shelley comes to on the ground. Someone asks worriedly what happened. The girl looks around in confusion, and the young man next to her is glad that she has awakened. The rescuers say that they heard the roar of a monster and found her here. Shelley recalls, "That's right, I went down into the hole of disaster." Fragments of memories flash by, the battle with Orabus and the attack of the evil dragons. A sudden revelation hits Shelley. She suddenly remembers something. She jumps up, desperately searching for Chrome, describing him as a man with white skin. The rescuers inform Shelley that they have found no one else but her. Meanwhile, Chrome, in his monster form, sits on a hill watching the sunset and ponders his decision. He convinces himself that erasing Shelley's memories is the only way out, even though it is difficult. 2 days have passed since the hole of disaster was cleared, and the city is slowly coming back to life. The camera focuses on the Adventurers Guild sign. Inside the guild, the adventurers are heatedly discussing their victory over the Devil Monkey. One of the adventurers shares news from the capital. Oddfield will soon have a new feudal lord. The townspeople rejoice, anticipating a peaceful life, and propose celebrating Shelley's victory day. An embarrassed Shelley modestly replies that she simply happened to be there when the monster was defeated. She sadly adds to herself that the real hero who slew the monster is nowhere to be found. Shelley reflects. The news of the victory over the hole of disaster spread instantly, and the monsters stopped appearing. Also, most of the evil dragons have also left the city, which is encouraging. Although it may not be immediate, peace seems to be returning to Oddfield quickly, and people are celebrating. Shelley thinks sadly, all this thanks to Chrome. And yet, where have you disappeared to? She remembers him, lamenting, "Chrome-san, don't you know that you are our savior?" Meanwhile, a hooded figure silently stares at a warning poster with a masked Chrome on it. The adventurer girl offers him a drink, but he refuses without raising his head. She calls him boring because everyone is celebrating the birth of a new hero, and he just stares at the wall. The girl looks curiously at the same poster as the hooded stranger. The poster warns of a monster that attacks a child and is capable of taking on human form and speaking. The adventurer drinks, warning that even after clearing the dungeon, the danger has not passed. Suddenly, Shelley addresses the hooded stranger, calling out to him. Shelley asks hopefully, "You're Chrome-san, right?" The hooded figure shudders, pulling it tighter over his face. He turns around, and under the hood is an ordinary young man, and Shelley is surprised. Shelley sheepishly apologizes, saying that he reminded her of a very important person. The stranger leaves, mentally saying goodbye. "Sorry, Shelley." His hand flares with a familiar blue glow. It's Chrome. Chrome, in his ghost form, explains that he used Phantom because he can't walk around openly with the face of a famous monster. He remembers how Shelley accepted him, and now his new name is Carmilla, a shape-shifting doppelganger. Chrome muses that his masquerade allows him to remain human for more than a day. As a last resort, he is ready to use Dream Eater again, even though he doesn't want to. He thinks that now Shelley will be able to see him as Calmia. Chrome decides to go home to his hometown of Rockdot. Meanwhile, in a luxurious room, 2 people are having a mysterious conversation. One of them, Mazo, listens with distrust to the interlocutor who is able to control disasters. The red-haired stranger confirms his group, the Dragon's Claws, has learned to control dungeons. Mazo smirks, wondering why such power was addressed to him. The guest replies that Mazo knows how to appreciate researchers with a great purpose. He adds that elsewhere he would have been used and thrown away, and his merits forgotten. Asher explains that others would forget their gratitude and deal with them if they became a nuisance. But with control of the dungeons, he continues, one could rule the world from the shadows, a far more intriguing proposition. However, Asher admits that they lack the necessary clout to get started. Asher's gaze is piercing as he approaches Meizo-sama with a proposal. He promises to make Meizo the king of the world, and the Devon Claws will serve this purpose. Meizo smirks, admitting that Asher Dono is truly an interesting person. You have the power to save everyone, exclaims Meizo. But you are not aiming to be a god, but a devil. Asher replies that there is little difference between them. The gods, no matter how terrible they may be, create the rules of the world. He takes a step forward by admitting that the talk of complete control over disasters is somewhat of an exaggeration. Asher clarifies, this requires extensive preparation, a lot of impure mana, and compliance with many conditions. Meizo states that he has no doubt in Asher's abilities, but is waiting for a demonstration of his usefulness. Asher agrees with a smile, considering it a natural requirement. He points to the city of Hadwin on the map, which is suffering from trade problems due to its richer northern neighbor. Asher's finger points to the city of Rockdot on the map, that same rich northern competitor. Asher slyly suggests that if a disaster occurs in Rockdot, all the flows of goods and money will flow to Hadwin. He assures that their preparations are in full swing and they will soon prove their capabilities. Meizo smirks in anticipation of what's to come as he looks at the map with Rockdot and Hadwin. Night falls, the crescent moon and stars shine in the dark sky. Suddenly, a level 16 three-eyed white wolf appears, growling furiously. A hooded figure with glowing eyes and a monstrous hand sees the wolf as the perfect object to test his powers. The three-eyed wolf lunges towards the hooded figure. The stranger, revealed to be Chrome, meets the attack with a glowing demonic hand. Chrome activates Soul Eater, aiming the creepy eye palm at the beast. The wolf growls in pain and Chrome clenches his fist, his own energy flaring. Chrome's powerful strike collides with the wolf's attack, causing a bright flash. Chrome muses. Soul Eater should steal mana and memories, confusing enemies. However, he admits that enemies often defeat him before he can influence their memories, like this level 16 wolf. Chrome comes to the conclusion that in order to manipulate memory, he must first win, but the very idea of such power is unpleasant to him. Against fast enemies, he thinks, the most he can do is steal a little mana. Chrome delivers a crushing blow, and the three-eyed wolf is blown to pieces. Chrome is disappointed. He received only 3 experience points for defeating the wolf. He is tormented by doubts. Will he ever be able to become truly strong? Looking at the remains of the monster, he notes its strangeness and its level being too high for these places. Chrome's anxiety grows. He hopes that this is not a bad omen. Having made a stop, Chrome roasts meat over a fire, satisfying his hunger. While having a snack, he realizes that he has almost reached Rockdot, his hometown. Chrome decides to replenish his mana for Masquerade by eating monsters in order to remain human longer. His true, sinister, monstrous form flashes, reminding us that this form has a detrimental effect on the mind. Hiding under his hood again, Chrome mentally addresses Kalmea, "I'm going home." Meanwhile, at the tavern, Asher is in despair, and his comrade tries to calm him down about finding new members. Asher mutters in despair that everyone seems to be avoiding them. His companion asks again in surprise, not understanding what the matter is. Suddenly, a girl with a staff finds them, claiming that her brother was seen with them before going into the dungeon. Asher babbles in panic, trying to understand what she was hinting at. The girl calmly replies that she will now explain everything very clearly. Her eyes sparkle as she accuses them of leading her weak brother deep into the dungeon. A flashback shows them abandoning him to the monsters to save their own skins. Asher loses his temper, blaming the girl for everything. She allegedly spread rumors about them. He convinces himself that it is because of her that no one wants to work with them. The comrade notices that Asher has been acting strange ever since it happened. Asher, enraged, grabs his comrade by the collar, shouting, "I told you not to mention that!" His face is distorted with anger, and he shouts, "It's not my fault!" In his memories, Asher justifies himself. How could he know that the devils were luring him into the lair, and that guy was too weak? Asher continues to scream that if they hadn't abandoned him, everyone would have died, and his partner tries to calm him down. Gritting his teeth, Asher convinces himself, "I'm not wrong, I'm not a murderer." He demands that the girl with the staff not look at him as if he is guilty. Asher is seething with anger. "This woman! I will never forgive her for these rumors about us. Someone's boots confidently step on the ground, approaching the tavern. A mysterious girl with white hair appears at the door, smiling and saying, "How wonderful." She stands before the giant, multi-eyed wolf, the dungeon boss Fenrir, admiring her master's genius. Fenrir, the dungeon boss, roars furiously, baring his fangs. The girl scoffs at his manners, holding a glowing sphere in her hand. She brings the sphere to the wolf's face, and it freezes. The many-eyed Fenrir whines pitifully, looking down at the girl. The girl smiles maliciously, explaining, "This is your master's mana. Do you understand now?" The wolf obediently lowers his gaze, his rage giving way to alarm. She orders the dungeon lord to follow her to carry out their master's will. With a devilish smile, the girl announces the destination, to Rockdot. Meanwhile, Chrome, shrouded in a dark aura, walks through the night streets of Rockdot. Suddenly, in a tavern, an enraged man with a stick attacks a white-haired girl. The girl spits out blood from the unexpected blow. The spear throws her back, but she deftly dodges the fatal blow. Wiping the blood from her lip, she smirks evilly. How rude. The white-haired girl looks at the man reproachfully. I can't believe that a grown man attacked a girl without hesitation. Kevin Quiraz, level 24, is terrified. His blows do no harm to her. He realizes that her level is much higher, looking into her glowing, crazy eyes. A girl with a scythe blocks his path as he shouts, "Monsters are coming to town!" Kevin is desperate. If he doesn't warn people, many will die. She replies with a grin, "I know. After all, I was the one who brought them here." Kevin's eyes widen in shock and realization of the terrible truth. Kevin can't believe his ears. Could this girl really have brought monsters into the city? She admits with a grin that she was going to kill him anyway. Kevin tries to calm himself by reminding himself that he was able to hurt her and must win. He grips his staff tighter because it is his duty to protect people. With a cry of "No way!" Kevin rushes into the attack, not having the right to lose. The girl with the braid only grins maliciously, looking at his desperate determination. Kevin strikes with his glowing staff, but she deftly dodges it in a whirlwind of her cloak. Cold sweat runs down Kevin's face as he realizes her superiority. The girl responds with a swift swing of her scythe, leaving behind a blood-red trail. Kevin is horrified. Her agility is incredible. How did he manage to hit her earlier? Kevin is defeated. The girl with the scythe stands over him, her weapon stained with blood. She grins maliciously, admitting that she enjoyed inflicting pain. It was fun. The girl apologizes for getting his hopes up, her braid hanging menacingly over him. She mockingly asks how the city's defenders will react to the invasion of monsters from the south. Kevin realizes in horror that she wants to deal with the defenders in advance, just like she just did with him. The scythe leaves a deep bloody cut on Kevin's body, and he screams in unbearable pain. With a trembling hand, Kevin feels the wound down to the bone, desperately not wanting to die. Suddenly, the girl begins to heal his wound with golden light, saying, "Healing." Kevin is confused. Why is she healing the enemy? She asks what place the city will defend first. He grits his teeth, realizing that she is playing with him, trying to find out strategically important information. Kevin desperately reaches forward, whispering, "I don't want to die. It's not time yet." A bright flash of healing light illuminates him, accompanied by a cry of pain. The girl with the bloody braid looks at the defeated Kevin with indifference. With a sly grin, she asks, "So you don't want to die? Tell me, how will they defend themselves?" Kevin, overcoming the pain, repeats, "I will not die until I warn everyone. It is my duty." The girl exhales in irritation. She clearly doesn't like his stubbornness. She steps on his back contemptuously, calling him a boring man. The white-haired woman turns and walks away, leaving Kevin to bleed out on the tavern floor. In a fading whisper, Kevin speaks his last will, addressing someone invisible. His body is motionless, but his last thought shines with light. "Protect our city. Protect Rockdot." Redhead in shock. "You should be dead, eaten by bugbears." He points at Chrome. "So you were in front of me this whole time?" Chrome thoughtfully, "I encountered someone problematic." He ponders. Was it necessary to change the face with an illusion? Chrome dismisses the idea. "No, that uses too much mana." He sighs. "I should have been more careful and not met with acquaintances." The red-haired man is shocked. Did he come back to life with a skill? He is horrified. "It's impossible!" The red-haired man continues, "Even if he survived, I haven't seen him before." Chrome is tense. He shouldn't blame me for anything. The red-haired man's face darkens. A bead of sweat runs down his temple. He notices the dark circles under Chrome's eyes and sunken cheeks, suspecting something is wrong. The man becomes more and more nervous, his hand squeezing the hilt of his sword. The red-haired man suddenly pulls the sword out of its sheath. Chrome cries out in surprise, "Hey, what are you doing?" The red-haired man laughs madly. "I get it. You came back as a monster to kill me." Chrome denies it, although he admits to himself that he is partly right. Redhead screams that Chrome is taking revenge for being abandoned to the bugbears. Chrome understands that he needs to be dealt with quickly and quietly before people come running. "You're taking out your weapon!" The red-haired man screams in panic. "I knew you were coming to kill me!" Red Hair threatens to send Chrome back to the underworld. He shouts in rage that Chrome is a worthless porter, even after becoming a monster. Chrome parries the blow, remembering how Arthur always despised him. Chrome's mind flashes back to how Arthur constantly picked on him for no reason. Chrome notes that Arthur now looks completely distraught. Arthur attacks again, and Chrome thinks that of all the people he knows in Rockdot, Arthur is the worst option. Chrome is puzzled, wondering how he should deal with this unexpected encounter. Arthur is shocked by Chrome's speed, not understanding how he became so fast. Chrome delivers a precise blow to Arthur's chest, causing him to let out a painful groan. Arthur falls to his knees, not believing what happened and whispering, "Impossible." Arthur can't believe his eyes. Is this really that same Chrome, the eternal weakling? Chrome realizes that his level is now much higher and he can easily defeat Arthur. He hopes that this blow was enough to bring Arthur to his senses, but Arthur just grins madly, clearly not going to give up. The red-haired man jumps up, shouting that he does not intend to die in such a place. A certainty emerges in his memory. Chrome was supposed to die at the hands of the bugbears. Arthur remembers that ambush, convinced that Chrome would not survive. Chrome looks at his maddened opponent with cold calm. Arthur grits his teeth, not understanding how Chrome could have appeared before him alive. Arthur's sword bursts into flames as he activates the fire cloak for another attack. Chrome makes a sharp movement of his leg and trips Arthur. The red-haired warrior falls with a crash onto the stone pavement. Arthur's sword flies to the side and he screams in panic, "Damn!" Chrome tries to calm him down, saying that he is human and holds no grudge. Arthur, lying on the ground, does not believe it, accusing Chrome of deception and wanting to eat him. The red-haired man's face is distorted with horror. He points his finger at Chrome. Chrome understands that Arthur is out of his mind, and it is impossible to convince him otherwise. The white-haired man decides to use the skill to get rid of the madman. Suddenly, the alley is enveloped in a thick purple fog. From the swirling smoke, 2 wolves and a huge dark beast emerge. The guards shout in panic, "Monsters have invaded the city!" The masked Chrome listens tensely, a bead of sweat running down his face. He looks up at the night sky, wondering, that roar? Could it be that monsters have attacked Rockdot? A terrible scene from 10 years ago comes to mind. A werewolf attack. Arthur, lying on the ground, does not believe it. A catastrophe from the dungeon? Impossible. There were no unstable dungeons nearby. Arthur's face distorts with horror and sudden insight. Red-haired accuses Chrome. "It was you who brought a horde of monsters here. I'm sure of it." Chrome decides that he can't wait any longer. He will show Arthur an illusion so that he will lose consciousness. Suddenly, a swift figure rushes past, almost hitting Chrome. Chrome turns around thinking, that was close, I almost got noticed. Suddenly, someone's pale hand reaches out to the girl rushing past, stopping her. Arthur, recognizing her as an adventurer in arms, turns to her for help. The silver-haired girl coldly asks Arthur to make way, saying that she is in a hurry. The red-haired man points at Chrome, accusing him of summoning monsters and begging for help. A masked Chrome notes with annoyance that Arthur seems out of his mind. Arthur desperately insists that Chrome is a living monster, but the girl considers this impossible. Chrome feels a bad feeling from her, but at the same time a strange attraction. The white-haired man shouts at Arthur to move away from the strange stranger. The girl's face distorts into an evil grin. She swings her scythe and screams, "Shut up, you damn monster!" A huge scythe cuts through Arthur's chest, covering everything around with blood. Chrome screams in horror, "Arthur!" his face distorted in shock. The girl looks at the defeated Arthur, smirking that he couldn't bring the monsters. She smiles ominously, admitting, "Because I brought them here." Chrome is stunned to realize that the mysterious stranger is the culprit of the invasion. The girl explains that she was ordered to deliver the blood of someone to the city center. She states that she has no time for such idiots and swings her scythe at Chrome. Arthur, still alive, screams in horror as he sees the new attack. The girl takes a quick step forward, her boot hitting the pavement. Chrome blocks the scythe strike with his glowing sword, sparks flying in all directions. The girl is surprised, asking Chrome, "Huh? Didn't you two just fight?" Chrome states that he cannot allow her to kill Arthur, even though they were enemies. The white-haired man adds that she seems to know about the monsters in the city, and she only smiles ominously. Chrome is determined to beat all information about the invasion out of her. The girl notes with a smile that there are many daredevils in the city and asks not to tire her out. She says that unfortunately she is in a hurry, otherwise she would gladly deal with him slowly. Chrome replies that he is also in a hurry to deal with her and save the city. The girl makes a quick lunge, adding, "And most importantly," she attacks Chrome with her scythe, screaming that she won't let him get in her way. Arthur, lying on the ground, asks in shock why Chrome is protecting him. A certainty emerges in his memory. Chrome should have died then, surrounded by monsters. Arthur is horrified to remember leaving Chrome to die in order to escape the bugbear nest. The red-haired man believed that Chrome became a monster by absorbing impure mana in order to take revenge. Chrome turns around at Arthur's call, his face expressing confusion. Arthur screams in panic, not understanding why Chrome didn't come to kill him. Chrome analyzes his opponent. She is fast, strong, and her huge scythe doesn't let him get close. The white-haired man compares her strength to the leader of the evil dragons, acknowledging her superiority. He guesses that she is around level 50, the strongest adventurer that the knightly orders would like to recruit. Chrome dodges the powerful blow, not believing that he is fighting such an opponent in Rockdot. However, he notices that even such a strong warrior has vulnerabilities. The girl with the scythe freezes, surprised by Chrome's unexpected maneuver. Chrome strikes, aiming for the gap in the girl's defense. The enemy falls. Chrome looks at her from above, breathing heavily. The girl, falling to the ground, admits, "You're better than I thought. That was quite painful." Chrome realizes that the wound is not deep, and he needs to defeat her quickly to save Arthur and help the city. Suddenly, the girl smiles and her wound begins to glow with healing magic. Chrome was amazed. White magic? She has a healing skill? The girl smiles ominously, saying that although she is in a hurry, she is starting to enjoy herself. Chrome screams that it's not her vulnerabilities. She's dragging out the fight with healing. Their blades cross again, sparks flying from the furious clash. Chrome realizes that they both have healing, but a protracted battle will only increase the number of casualties. Chrome realizes that Arthur is watching and he is unable to reveal his true form. White-haired decides not to use Phantom now, so as not to take risks. The girl with the braid smirks, knowing that her fear is not so easy to find. Chrome activates Soul Eater, intending to learn her weaknesses from the past. He charges forward, confident that he can find her fear and use Phantom. The stranger notes Chrome's rare skill with interest. Their weapons clash again in a furious whirlwind of sparks and energy. The girl easily parries, declaring that she will not allow herself to be attacked so easily. Chrome is disappointed. The enemy has become more careful, leaving no gaps. She wonders if Chrome has enough mana to maintain his abilities. Chrome, with a mask on his face, is tense, his sword emitting a blue glow. The girl grins maliciously, realizing that her words about mana had hurt Chrome. The white-haired man turns sharply, preparing for another attack. In a furious clash, her scythe sends Chrome flying backwards. Chrome's sword flies out of his hand, clanging as it hits the pavement. The girl chuckles, saying that Chrome panicked, trying to end the fight quickly. Suddenly her gaze changes and she exclaims, "Wait, no!" She sees Chrome's transformed hand and realizes his true intentions. Chrome is glad that Arthur does not see his true form, since the thrown sword was just a trick. His clawed hand strikes out and he says, "Dream Eater." Chrome penetrates her mind, demanding to see her memories. The white-haired man finds himself in the mental world of his opponent. He looks around. There is only a strange absolute emptiness around him. Chrome remembers, for Galrod these were ruins, for the monsters, dungeons. He had never seen anything so white before. He wanted to know her goals, but there was nothing to be found in this emptiness. Suddenly, Chrome notices a lone child's figure in a pool of blood. What he sees makes him freeze in bewilderment. A little girl desperately tries to heal herself, but magic doesn't work. She whispers in despair why the healing doesn't help because it shouldn't be like this. Chrome's eyes widen in horror as he saw the source of her emptiness. Her memories include bloody instruments and mutilated small animals. A little girl holds up the stitched rats, saying, "I tried so hard to make it 2 heads." Chrome is shocked, a tear rolling down his cheek at the cruelty he witnessed. The ghost of a little girl from her past looks at Chrome ominously. The white-haired man falls, clutching his head. What the hell is wrong with her mind? He realizes that there is no fear in her, only childish cruelty and a complete lack of emotion. The girl with the scythe comes to her senses. "I have no idea what you did, but you have an unpleasant skill." Chrome realizes that his attack has failed, and the sword is still lying on the ground. She attacks mercilessly, and her scythe slices through Chrome's shoulder. Chrome falls with a scream, blood gushing from a deep wound on his shoulder. The girl grins maliciously, sure that this is the end for Chrome. The white-haired man acknowledges her superiority. His doppelganger skills are useless. Chrome's only chance is to remove the masquerade by revealing his true identity. He hesitates. Arthur might find out the truth, and it would cause panic in the city. Revealing his identity as a monster will add to the chaos already engulfing the city. Arthur watches from afar, fearing that Chrome is about to be killed.
He is angry, thinking that Chrome has come for revenge, and his death would be to his advantage.
Suddenly, Arthur realizes, after Chrome, the girl might target him too. Arthur is confused. He doesn't understand whether Chrome has come to kill him, and what is going on at all. Arthur clenches his teeth, sweat pouring down his face from the strain. His hand clenches into a fist, preparing for decisive action. Arthur, lying on the ground, activates Fire Cloak, his fist bursting into flames. Chrome, wounded and on his knees, understands that removing the masquerade will be an extreme measure. He thinks that panic will hinder the defense against monsters and increase the number of victims. The girl with the scythe attacks again. Chrome tries to defend himself with his hand emitting energy. Chrome's sword flies off again. He curses in frustration. The stranger grins maliciously, her scythe ready for another blow. The firestone in Arthur's hand burns brighter and brighter. Arthur slams his fist into the ground in fury, releasing fiery power. Chrome turns around in alarm at Arthur's intervention. Arthur, sprawled on the ground, shouts that he managed to get it. The girl with the braid looks at Arthur with irritation, reproaching him for his tactlessness. She threatens to deal with him first. Her scythe comes down on Arthur, blood spurting from his shoulder. Chrome realizes in horror that she is going to kill Arthur. The white-haired man decides that now is not the time to hesitate and reaches for the mask. Arthur begs for mercy, not wanting to die under the raised scythe. The girl's gaze changes abruptly. She feels something unexpected. A bright blue flash illuminates everything around, heralding new power. Scythe is met by a creepy figure of a monster with a burning core in his chest. The girl's eyes widen in shock, not believing what she saw. She wonders where this monster came from because she didn't bring it. Her gaze falls on Chrome, and she thinks with horror, "Is this really the same person?" The monster attacks, its clawed paw leaving a blue energy trail. The girl steps back, letting out a stifled groan of surprise. A new blow from the monster falls on her, blood spurts. A powerful energy impulse throws the girl far back. She acknowledges the enemy's strength, noting his inhuman build. Arthur, lying on the ground, watches what is happening in horror, muttering, "What the hell? He looks so creepy." Arthur realizes in horror. His suspicions were confirmed. Chrome is a real monster. The girl notes that the monster is intelligent and has complete control over its power, not succumbing to the wrath of the abyss. She sees Chrome as an unpredictable anomaly that could disrupt her plans. The girl decides to destroy him immediately before he reaches his full power. She activates Immortal Demon, lamenting that a simple task turned into such a battle. The girl admits that she did not expect to have to use all her strength. Monster Chrome grins evilly, anticipating the fight. She explains that her higher magic accelerates life energy, making it stronger and healing wounds. However, this incredible power comes at the cost of her own life. The girl rushes into the attack, telling the monster that the games are over. The girl's braid is thrust in with force, meeting unexpected resistance. Her face is distorted by a wicked grin, confident in her attack. Monster Chrome intercepts the scythe blade with his glowing blue hand. The monster grins and says, "Gotcha." The girl is shocked. He allowed himself to be wounded to stop her weapon. Chrome strikes back, releasing a powerful blast of blue energy. The monster's attack knocks her back, and she acknowledges its superior strength. The girl flies back, releasing a purple beam of energy towards Chrome. Despite her injury, she smiles ominously, her eye glowing red. She decides to wear him down using her immortality since she has lost her weapon. The girl is pierced by an invisible force. Her face is distorted with pain and bewilderment. She doesn't believe that the monster returned her braid. The monster is rapidly approaching. Chrome grabs the girl by the hand. He throws her away abruptly. The girl flies through the air, leaving a trail of blood. She is amazed by the monster's power. The girl enjoys the pain, experiencing it for the first time. Chrome decides to end the fight. A girl with glowing eyes screams that she is immortal as long as she has mana. The Chrome monster is surprised. In front of him is a monster that helps people. He attacks, asking if this is the same person who attacked her earlier. Arthur listens with horror to her question about why Chrome is so protective of people. The girl, surrounded by an ominous aura, calls Chrome a creepy monster. The monster looms over her, ready to attack again. She looks at him defiantly, asking if he's crazy. The girl smirks, claiming that he does not understand the meaning of the word immortality. Chrome strikes, cutting off her arm with a blue energy blade. A powerful blue discharge cuts through her body, causing shock to appear on her face. Blood spurts like a fountain. The Chrome monster looms over the defeated girl. Her body falls limply to the ground, covering the stones with blood. The girl lies motionless, her eyes cross-eyed, Chrome towering over her. The monster slowly turns away, considering the fight over. He takes a step, leaving her lying in a pool of her own blood. Suddenly, the girl finds herself on Chrome's back, biting into his flesh with her teeth, screaming, "You've let your guard down!" Her eyes glow with madness. She growls, "At least I'll take you with me." Chrome grabs her head with lightning speed, interrupting her desperate attack. With a powerful movement, he slams her face into the stone floor. Sprawled on the ground, she laughs softly. "Ha ha, so this is where it all ends." The girl with a purple glint in her eyes says, "I feel sorry for you, monster." She continues, addressing Chrome. "If only you could cast aside your mind and live like a true monster." Chrome's hand rests on her head as she says, "No matter how hard you try to be nice to people." With a bloody grin, she concludes, "No one will ever love you." The Chrome monster calmly replies, "Fine." He delivers a crushing blow, and blood sprays in all directions. In the darkness, Chrome's words appear, "My deepest wish in this world." His desire is not the glory of a hero, but to alleviate the suffering of people, and he gains experience by leveling up. The Chrome monster looks around, hoping no one saw him. He notices Arthur, who whispers in horror, I knew it." Arthur screams in horror that he always knew. Chrome is a monster. He turns around, seeing the monster, and asks if it has returned to kill him. Chrome's hand lands on Arthur's head, causing a flash of blue light. Arthur freezes under the influence of an unknown force emanating from the monster. The young man's body floats limply in the dark void, shrouded in radiance. Waking up in a strange purple space, Arthur wonders where he is. Giant glowing eyes appear in front of him, and the inscription reads, "Phantom." Arthur screams in panic, begging for help in this terrible dimension. Chrome, having regained a more human appearance, looks at the immobilized Arthur, regretting the witness. He understands that when he wakes up, Arthur will again call him a monster, given what he saw. Chrome didn't want to, but was forced to change Arthur's memories. He looks at the sleeping boy, noticing the terrible bruises under his eyes. Chrome understands. Arthur was very scared because he was never known for his strength of spirit. He thinks that Arthur deserved it, but he could have set up Calmia. Chrome activates Dream Eater, and his hand touches Arthur's head. A scene flashes through Arthur's mind. He and his companion are fighting off dark creatures. In my memory, the young man screams in rage, "Damn demons, they brought them upon us!" Evil monsters with scarlet eyes and fangs rush forward. Suddenly, a blue energy blast destroys one of the attackers. Chrome's hand holds this scene, changing Arthur's past. In the altered memory, Arthur and his companion are saved from dark creatures by a blue monster. The companion shouts, "Monster, this is our chance, run!" while Arthur is puzzled. Legs flash in the darkness. They hastily run away from the dangerous dungeon. When Arthur wakes up, he feels that something is wrong, but he cannot understand what exactly. In the tavern, he discusses with a friend. Dangerous monsters have appeared in the forest, a chance to earn money. Arthur looks at his companion with alarm, beginning to suspect something. "There's really only two of us?" he asks, seeing the puzzled response. Flashback. Arthur addresses the cloaked Chrome, noting his loneliness. He reminds Chrome of his one-use skill, his inability to fight and level up. "That's why no one will take you into the squad," Arthur concludes. "There are better jobs for others." Arthur suggests, "But if You still haven't given up, come with us. Arthur's companion adds that Chrome's parents also died from monsters. Hooded Chrome thanks him, but decides to give up the adventurer's path. Arthur approves with a grin. A wise choice, it will be better this way. As he leaves, Arthur hears Chrome's gratitude for the invitation. See you later, Arthur, Chrome says when he's almost out of sight. Arthur turns around abruptly, a red glint in his eyes. How do you know my name? The memory ends and Arthur falls to the ground unconscious. Waking up in Chrome's arms, a beaten Arthur mutters, Where am I? Was it a dream? Chrome hands Arthur to a passerby. I'm going south, take him to safety. A passerby addresses the awakened Arthur, explaining that he was attacked by a strange woman. Arthur, holding his head, has difficulty remembering what happened. His memory is foggy. Leaning on the stranger, Arthur thanks him for saving him and asks if he is a wandering adventurer. Chrome reflects. He erased all of Arthur's memories of himself so that he would not harm Calmia. Chrome hopes that now Arthur will finally be able to sleep peacefully at night. Suddenly, Arthur falls to the ground. Blood appears on his cloak. Chrome and the passerby are in shock. A passerby screams at Chrome in horror, not understanding what is happening to Arthur. Arthur, lying on the ground, mutters that he must apologize, although he does not know why. Chrome watches as Arthur bows to the ground, assuming his conscience has awakened. Arthur remains bowed, almost overcome by his own feelings of guilt. Chrome, with scarlet eyes, decides that he will have to help the monsters because Arthur is still confused. He turns away, leaving Arthur and the stunned passerby behind. Donning a creepy mask, Chrome says goodbye with a "see you later." Arthur, shrouded in a red glow, looks resolutely into the distance. Suddenly, a three-eyed wolf appears. His level is almost maximum. A whole pack of the same monstrous wolves attacks defenseless townspeople. One of the monsters grabs the sword with his teeth, not allowing the warrior to defend himself. People are screaming in panic. There are too many monsters. We need to urgently evacuate women and children. A huge, dark silhouette of a wolf with burning eyes emits a chilling howl. The warrior looks in horror at the giant beast on the roof. It is the dungeon boss, exuding an ominous aura. Explanation. When the boss leaves the dungeon, the circulation of mana stops. Monsters, enchanted by the boss's mana, form flocks and begin to terrorize everything around. The warrior whispers in despair, "This could be the end of Rockdot." The three-eyed wolves rush to attack with a furious roar. The warrior's hand clutches the weapon. He understands that he will not hold out for long. With determination in his eyes, he swings the axe. "At least I will die defending my hometown." Masked Chrome addresses the warrior. "Hey, uncle, could you step aside?" Chrome stands before the stunned warrior with his sword at the ready. The warrior is surprised. "Move away. Whoever you are, you can't handle them alone." Two ferocious wolves howl and jump straight at Chrome. Masked Chrome cuts through two attacking wolves with one swing of his sword. The monsters are defeated, and Chrome gets some experience for each one. The shocked warrior can only mutter, "Who are you anyway?" A new pack of three-eyed wolves growls and blocks their path. Chrome takes off his mask, his eyes glowing red. "Attack! I'm ready to fight anyone." Several more monsters fall, struck down by his blade. Chrome is back in his mask, continuing to mercilessly exterminate monsters. He turns around abruptly, sensing a new threat. Suddenly, one of the wolves sinks its teeth into his shoulder. Chrome screams and stabs the attacking beast with his sword. The wolf, cut in two, brings Chrome some more experience. Chrome activates regeneration, and the wound on his shoulder begins to heal. His sword, Dream Eater, glows, ready to absorb the energy of his enemies. Another wolf falls from Chrome's blow, earning him another 5 experience points. Chrome explains that Dream Eater allows him to restore mana. With regeneration and Dream Eater, he feels like he can fight forever. Chrome decides that he doesn't need to assume his true form against these weak monsters. The warriors shout in delight that an incredible adventurer has come to their aid and call upon them to follow him. Suddenly, one of the warriors recognizes Chrome by his boots. The passerby who helped Arthur is shocked to recognize Chrome and cannot believe his eyes. The masked Chrome continues to exterminate the wolves, ignoring the passerby who recognized him. The passerby is confused. Chrome had black hair and was not so inhumanly strong. And the previous Chrome never had such a stern, gloomy look. The warrior admires his power, believing that now they will cope without losses. Suddenly, a powerful red pulse shakes everything around. Chrome senses a new threat. A giant three-eyed wolf emerges from the shadows, the dungeon boss himself. The warrior screams in horror, recognizing him as the boss who brings disaster. The monster's 3 scarlet eyes gleam, promising a deadly battle. All around lie the bodies of wolves who fell to the blade of a mysterious warrior. The boss wolf lets out a blood-curdling howl as it prepares to attack. The boss wolf's powerful paw descends upon the city, causing an explosion. The warrior shouts for the others to group up, believing that defeating the boss will solve everything. Chrome calmly asks her to step aside, confident that he can handle the monster alone. The warrior is horrified, considering his decision reckless, no matter how strong he is. The giant wolf's scarlet eye gleams angrily, foreshadowing a fierce battle. The dungeon boss, level 46 Fenrir, looms over Chrome, baring his teeth. Chrome coldly assesses the enemy, finding him weaker than previous enemies. Masked Chrome strikes with a swift blow, and Fenrir howls at the unexpected attack. The wounded three-eyed Fenrir roars furiously, his eyes burning even brighter. Chrome firmly declares that he will not allow Fenrir to further destroy Rockdot, and will put an end to him. Fenrir grins viciously, blood dripping from his fangs, foreshadowing a brutal fight. The warriors watch Chrome with admiration, amazed by his incredible strength. One of them notes that Chrome single-handedly challenged this monster. The giant Fenrir looms over Chrome, its roar shaking the air. Chrome activates his regeneration, his hand glowing blue, preparing for battle. The beast and the warrior stand facing each other. Fenrir continues to growl menacingly. Chrome unleashes a series of powerful blows on Fenrir with his sword, glowing with energy. Fenrir flinches while Chrome is confident in his superiority due to his level and abilities. Chrome acknowledges Fenrir as strong, but has no doubt that he will win by attrition. The wounded Fenrir lets out a long howl, but Chrome remains steadfast in his wait for the next attack. The warriors are in a panic. Fenrir is trying to escape, which threatens new victims. Suddenly, Fenrir is enveloped in magical chains, cutting off his howl. The monster's powerful paws are bound with shining fetters. The giant wolf is completely immobilized, his eyes expressing bewilderment. Fenrir lets out a confused howl, not understanding what is happening. The chained beast hangs helplessly in the air, looking down. A blue demon with horns appears from the shadows, holding a chain with an eye. Fenrir howls again, but this time his voice is filled with pain and despair. Chrome doesn't hesitate and unleashes a phantom attack on the chained boss. Blood spurts from Fenrir's wound as he takes a crushing blow. Defeated Fenrir brings Chrome experience, increasing his level to 54. The warriors can't believe that he single-handedly defeated the dungeon boss. Masked Chrome thinks that the disaster in the dungeon should now subside. However, he is tormented by vague doubts. Something about this incident does not add up. A memory emerges of the sinister smile of the woman who admitted that it was she who brought the monsters. Chrome regrets that he didn't have time to interrogate her, wondering about the meaning of her words. The remaining warriors whisper about the birth of a hero, not knowing who he is. Chrome, not wanting to attract too much attention, urges them to split up and finish off the remaining monsters in the city. The warriors agree, realizing that it is too early to relax. Chrome himself decides to quietly leave as soon as he has completed his part of the job. Masked Chrome is glad that he was able to protect his hometown and has nothing to complain about. The passerby watches Chrome walk away, still full of doubts. He watches the mysterious figure, wondering if it was really Chrome. A passerby compares the former Chrome and the current warrior. Their auras are completely different. He decides that even if it was Chrome, it's best not to tell Arthur about it. After all, Arthur in his current state will probably perceive everything incorrectly. Meanwhile, Chrome returns to the place where he left the body of the female provocateur. He looks at the fallen woman, realizing that he had to act harshly, otherwise she would have attacked again. Chroma can't shake the thought that there is something very disturbing about this woman. He has a bad feeling about her, and it's as if he was drawn to her from the very beginning. Chrome recalls that from the first meeting the woman caused in him a strange attraction, and at the same time rejection. Even now, bending over her body, he feels this eerie connection. Suddenly, Chrome's gaze is drawn to something on the dead woman's chest. An ominous glow emanates from under her cloak. Some object is hidden there. Chrome understands it was this artifact that was the source of his strange sensations. He guesses that the woman used this object to lure the monsters into the city. Not knowing exactly what it is, Chrome decides to take the dangerous artifact with him. Meanwhile, in the city, the wounded are taken to a makeshift hospital. Healers rush to help, first examining the seriously injured. Amidst the commotion, a girl appears with a box, anxiously looking for her brother. The girl with blue hair and a bow decisively declares, "I am telling the truth." She overhears the warriors' conversation. The gray-haired adventurer single-handedly defeated the boss, saving Rockdot. Close-up of Kalmia's face, she was clearly thinking about something after hearing this. Flashback. Brother comforts a crying Kalmia, promising to become a hero and protect her. In another memory, the masked brother says goodbye, vowing to come back stronger for her. Kalmea looks into the distance, mentally urging her stupid brother to return home. The action moves to Ryberg, the capital of the kingdom, where tension reigns. In the council chamber, 3 high-ranking men, including the ruler, discuss the disturbing news. One of the advisors is furious. All the guards in the watchtower of Rockdot have been killed. This is someone's doing. Another advisor is skeptical, urging people not to believe the rumors that circulate during monster attacks. The advisor angrily asks what is known about the Claws of Devon and whether the Red Man has been found yet. Captain Elend and his companion Mila listen gloomily to the squabble in the hall. One of the dignitaries clutches his head in despair. The day of judgment is approaching. Mila repeats to herself with alarm, "Doomsday!" Elend and Mila leave the hall, the captain displeased with the useless shouts of the council. Mila asks Captain Elend why the other knight commanders are so agitated. Elend mentions rumors of a red man with a birthmark who is involved in monster attacks. Mila suspects that the knight captains know more than just rumors. The captain abruptly interrupts Mila, warning her against unnecessary speculation, and she apologizes. Elend seriously states that Mila is his right hand, and now is the right time to tell her something. Mila listens with a tense face, a bead of sweat appearing on her forehead. Elend tells about the events of 100 years ago. Someone subdued the monsters and attacked the capital. The culprit was Viscount Eros, a red-haired man with a birthmark. Mila is shocked. "You say this is the same red man? But 100 years have passed." Elend continues. 300 years ago, a court magician was executed for cursing an entire city. The captain doubts the veracity of this story because even the name of the magician is unknown. But he was rumored to have fiery red hair and an ugly inflammation on his face. Mila listens in horror. 1,000 years ago, God gave people a blessing that allows them to live without fear of monsters. Mila asks in bewilderment, "So what?" According to the scripture, if the blessing is too strong, disasters will fall upon the earth. Earthquakes, tornadoes, and hordes of monsters. Elend adds, "On the day of judgment, a monster will appear redder than the red marsh itself, from which it will crawl." Mila is horrified. "Are you really saying that this is the Red Man?" Elend nods, mentioning the faith of the clergy. The captain gloomily notes that monster attacks are becoming more frequent and humanity will not last long. Catching the Red Man is the kingdom's top priority, as he is the key to solving the problem. Meanwhile, someone reads the letter with anticipation, exclaiming, "Excellent!" The man confirms with a malicious grin, Rockdot was indeed attacked by monsters just as Asher Dono said. He reports to Asher that the mercenaries reported a quick elimination of the threat, but Asher has proven his strength. The man delightedly promises Asher unlimited funding for research, dreaming of world domination. Asher's hand clenches into a fist against the backdrop of an ominous red glow. Asher's face is twisted with grim determination, his eyes burning with an evil fire. The assistant turns in fear to Asher, who is shrouded in an ominous red aura. Asher's eyes narrow in confusion. He can't understand how this happened. Asher remembers Garrett, his accomplice, confident that she could not be betrayed or defeated. He wonders if there is anyone strong enough to deal with both Fenrir and Garrett. Asher suggests that if this was the work of the knights, they could have taken the crystal containing his blood. He doubts the abilities of the current rulers, otherwise they would have come for him already. Asher comes to the conclusion that there is some irregular involved, but this changes nothing. The assistant asks again with horror, "Irregular?" Asher calls this irregular, a monster, the spawn of a false god who cursed the world. Asher's hand comes down hard on the table, emphasizing his grim determination. Asher thanks Count Misdo for his support of the research, looking forward to the next step forward. However, he is worried. Someone in Rockdot probably killed his subordinate, which could disrupt their plans. With a sinister smile, Asher asks the Count to help not only with money, but also in eliminating this obstacle. The scene changes to a peaceful landscape, clear skies over green hills, heralding the arrival of a new hero. A gray-haired adventurer with a mark on his face sits, looking tiredly at a small pink crystal in his hand. A close-up is shown of a crystal with pink energy swirling inside, clearly of magical origin.